Said I got to say something, baby, hand me the mic. I said I got to say something, better hand me the mic. Somebody hand me a mic. Cause I got to say something, so just hand me a mic. I need to say something, better hand me the mic. I said I got to say something, baby, hand me the mic.
Are we rolling, Southpaw?
We are rolling.
We are rolling. We don't do episodes and stuff now, do we, Southpaw?
I mean, this is an episode technically, but we don't do episode numbers because I'm never sure these days. We've got that many going on.
Well, let's call this Rob Coates episode 3 then.
Yeah. Oh, this is episode 3.
Episode 3 for me.
You know, I'm glad you just said that because I was about to say this is episode 2, but I remember there's been 2.
I did one with Amy and then one by myself,
yes,
and I'm back again.
Yes, you did. And yes, you are, and thank you for that. So this is people like us, as Rob just said, that Rob Coates is back. So we're going to have Rob back in the house. We love this. Do you know what, Southpaw? Viewers don't lie, do they? You know?
No.
The public don't lie.
Pretty much.
Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie.
And
like
one of
that.
our better performing videos has been the Rob Coates episode.
It has.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is, Rob? When you talk about yourself, like your whole experience is yourself.
Yeah.
And the episode with just me was about me.
Yeah.
I don't want to, boring's not the right word, but it wasn't that interesting to me. Do you know what I mean? But it's my life, because that's the only life I've ever known.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if you had a conversation about anybody, they would feel the same thing, that's about their own life.
100%.
Of course.
I think watching it back,
was like, wow, okay.
You know all these
People
things.
did watch this, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're a narcissist and then you just love listening to yourself.
Of course, yeah.
You know.
I've also got a second guest with me today as well. So you know how I'm a conspiracy theorist?
Some may say.
And all of our devices are listening to us all the time.
I believe that.
Well, I call my MI5 agent Derek.
Derek.
And, this is more for the viewers because you two were here for this. But I went to the toilet before we started recording. As I opened the door, the alarm went off. One of the most ear-piercing noises I've ever heard.
The Master Blaster, it was
we
called.
might go into these topics later. I was talking about some topics with you. And I think Derek might have thought I've overstepped the mark a little bit there.
Yeah.
And set the alarm off to try and silence us. So, hello, Derek. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Hi, Derek. Yeah. Yeah, this one's for you, Derek. But no, that really did happen. That was pretty crazy, literally.
I've actually, I've filmed a TikTok whilst we're waiting to get the alarm reset, so you'll probably hear it in the background on that TikTok if you go and listen to that.
Yeah, we'll get that played. Yeah, it was either a coincidence or Derek is actually listening.
He's earned his wages today.
He
Fair
has.
play to him. You've earned that takeaway tonight, Derek.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't nice. That was possibly one of the most piercing sounds.
And you've never heard that alarm before, have you?
Never heard that
How long have you been
before.
in this building now?
Gosh, this time last year, maybe?
Yeah.
You've never heard that alarm until I turned up and said King Charles has no children.
No. So, do you know what, Rob? Jump straight in the deep end.
Here we go.
I learned this week King Charles has no children.
King Charles has no children.
No, so the royal family bloodline will change when Prince Charles passes away. Okay. So it's quite an open secret that Prince Harry is the son of James Hewitt.
I have
Man,
heard
I'm getting
this.
hung for treason on this episode.
I have heard this, though.
I mean, Diana talks about her affair with James Hewitt, and there's a lot of similarity there when you look at pictures of them side by side. What I learned this week was that Prince William is the son of Jacob Rothschild.
Huh.
And if you put pictures side by side, it's really hard to argue with it. And there are pictures of Diana and Rothschild together because Rothschilds and royals hang out quite a lot. They would have met many, many times.
Good God.
So there's one for you.
Do you know, just as you've been speaking, and for the viewers listening, do have a quick Google for Jacob Rothschild. Do you know what, right? Like, he doesn't half look like him, though, doesn't he?
Maybe a younger picture. If you've got one of his
He's
30s or 40s, you'll probably see it, won't you?
Search 1980s.
Yeah, I guess around that era, yeah.
God, he looks like him.
Boom.
So what exactly is the conspiracy here then, Rob?
That Prince Harry is the son of James Hewitt, and Prince William is the son of Jacob Rothschild, which means when King Charles passes away, the royal bloodline is going to completely change to a new family. Now, many have said for a long time the Rothschilds basically run the world. And is this a way to take the throne without bloodshed and war?
Repeat that?
Well,
No, so the
there's a long
conspiracy-
history in the British royal family that thrones have changed through bloodshed and war.
Right.
Is this a way to take the throne without bloodshed and war? It's just get your son next in line to the throne.
Right.
And then the Rothschilds are alone the world banks and the British royal family and Antarctica.
If this were a thing, right, and obviously you as a self-proclaimed conspiracy theorist know about this,
Yeah.
I would assume that the royal family know about this.
Oh, this is a great picture, by the way. This one it curses on now. Who points to a future king like that?
Nobody.
This is quite a famous picture in conspiracy circles.
Is that Mr. Rothschild?
That's Mr. Rothschild having the word with Prince Charles as he was at the time, yeah.
Putting him in his place.
Who talks to a future king like that?
Yeah. Somebody who doesn't give...
So the Rothschilds basically run the world. They own big portions of Antarctica. There's lakes and pyramids named after them in Antarctica.
Sorry, hang on. Whoa, just roll it back. There's pyramids?
There's pyramids in Antarctica.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this.
They've never really denied the pyramids. They just don't talk about it much either.
The Tui and Virgin?
Oh man, your Google search today.
Ah. So this is real?
So there's many lakes and pyramids and deserts in Antarctica named after the Rothschilds because obviously it's just a big block of ice that no one cares about.
This isn't real.
It's the only place that has a international treaty that's never been broken.
What is Antarctica?
Every other border and treaty and peace deal has been broken.
Right.
Yet the countries that agreed not to explore Antarctica have somehow kept that treaty going since it was founded.
All of these pictures aren't real.
I'm not sure. I've never delved that deeply into the Antarctica pyramids. I just know they exist.
I'm not buying this one, Rob.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm not buying it. I think all these pictures are photoshopped.
But as I say, when King Charles passes away, the Rothschilds will have the world banks and the royal family. And it's long been held they pretty much run the world.
My counter-argument to that is, as I just said, not to repeat myself, if you know about this and others have this conspiracy, surely the royal family know about this.
Yeah.
Or the potential for the, whatever you just said, the bloodline to be passed. Wouldn't they do something to stop it?
Do they want to stop it?
Well, I would assume yes.
I would assume so, but then, say you're King Charles, you're on the throne. Do you care who has it after you pass away?
Well, let's just try and understand the logistics of this, right?
Yeah.
So if that was the case, say if William was so-and-so's and Harry's was so-and-so's.
Yeah.
They would have had to... You think that's just a one-time that they slept with Lady Diana? Or do you normally to have a child, if you're
Diana was known for her affairs, and she was quite open about the James Hewitt affair.
She was quite open about...
The James Hewitt affair.
Right.
Who would be Harry's dad.
Okay, so that's been officially...
There's never been a DNA test, and the official story is that Prince Harry is King Charles' son.
Yeah.
But who knows what they discussed behind closed doors?
Yeah. But they'd want to keep the James Hewitt quiet, and there's a bit more evidence that has happened.
Because she wasn't so quiet about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but the Rothschild, there's been no evidence.
No, and but the other thing I would say is it's quite a common thing among the global elite families to have children from different... It's very strange. For example, there were no pictures of a pregnant Michelle Obama. But they do look like a spitting image of a doctor who's a family friend of theirs. Chelsea Clinton is a spitting image of a family friend of theirs. Justin Trudeau is a spitting image of Fidel Castro, who was known to be close to his mother. So it's quite a common thing amongst global ruling families as well.
I believe it's happened.
Yeah.
I believe it's happened. The most compelling one for me is the Prince Harry one.
Yeah.
I've said this to a member of my family before, and they've said, yeah, he does look like James Hewitt, but he also does look like Diana.
Of course, yeah.
I disagree. I don't think he does. Do you know the elder one, William?
Yeah.
I can see an argument for he's being Diana's and Charles's kid. I can see that. I think he looks a bit like him.
But I mean, look at that. Prince Harry is so James Hewitt's son.
But the facial structure for me resembles Charles.
Do you think?
See, I think he's got James Hewitt's eyes, nose, and hair. He definitely hasn't got Charles's ears.
No, neither of them
or
do.
his nose. Or his chin.
So is this a confirmed affair? When you say confirmed?
Diana was fairly open about it.
Was she?
I'm sure she's done interviews and books talking about the affair, yeah.
Right. I mean, we're never going to know, are we?
No, they'll never publicly confirm one way or the other, no.
No. Who was James Hewitt? Why was he somebody? Who is he?
All I know of him is he played polo and he's a toff. I couldn't tell you much more about him, to be honest with you.
Right. Who knows? But yeah, no, look, I will say that Harry does have a distinct look.
Yeah.
It is distinct, and he doesn't look much like his brother, if I'm being honest.
We did raise the ire of Derek when we talked about that before.
Yeah.
Pressing play today, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what set Derek up. Derek doesn't like this. You're right.
He's got his instructions, hasn't he?
Yeah,
He's only doing his job.
Yeah, I guess it's a day job, isn't it? So what else has been going on, Rob? What else is happening? What do you know? I mean,
well,
I got a text from you a few I won't find it, a few weeks ago, and it was quite a big text.
Yeah.
You know, the world's coming to an
end. Are you looking
end.
forward to World War III? Are you preparing for it? Yeah.
You think it's going to happen?
Yeah, totally.
Go on.
There's a lot of parallels between what's happening now, what happened between World War I and II. So the first prediction I made to you was Labour are going to win the general election. That was never really in doubt.
No.
And they've won that.
No.
So the theory, that election was called so quickly, even the Tory party weren't ready for it. It was a real snap decision. So it looks like NATO are planning to declare war on Russia. But Rishi Sunak, being a Hindu, doesn't want to be a wartime prime minister. And that's why he called that snap election that he knew from day one he had no chance of winning. And when you look at his campaign, it felt like he was trying to lose as well. It was a really bad campaign.
So you think he was trying to lose?
Yeah, he wanted that job gone. Yeah.
Do you think?
He made the announcement in the pouring rain in his shirt looking like a drowned rat when in the building behind him was a perfectly good indoor press room.
He did do that.
He did press conferences at the side of the Titanic.
Yeah, he did do that, yeah.
Him and his inside circle were placing bets on the date of the election before he announced it.
Sorry, say that again?
A lot of his inside circle, politicians and security people, placed bets on the date of the election before he announced it. That's currently being investigated.
But I don't think that's... I don't think that... Just isolating that, the betting thing, I think that's definitely corruption.
Yeah,
definitely.
100%.
But I don't think that's an indication that he wanted to lose the election.
It's a good thing to leak if it looks like you might win, though.
Why?
Get your mates in the press to... opinion polls are a bit good. I might keep this job. Get your mates in the press to leak it. Get some more negative press on us.
Do you know what? Like, I was thinking about this election thing. I'll be the first to say I know nothing about politics.
Okay.
But in other elections, I felt like there was, through the media and through what I saw, I thought that there was like an equal push from both parties.
Yeah.
So like I would see the Blues making a very good case for themselves, and I would see the Reds making a very good case for themselves. Yeah. But I will admit, this time, I don't remember seeing a very strong push.
It's felt very lacklustre from everyone except Reform. Yeah. They seem to be the only party that were trying to win.
Yeah, like
it's weird.
There was always the red people with the red on the telly. I seen the red bus floating about. The door-to-door people were always Labour people.
It honestly felt like only one party wanted to win this time. It was a really weird thing.
And like, are they allowed to do this? Like, you know, the Rishi guy?
Yeah.
He was obviously unpopular. I mean, he wasn't actually an elected prime minister, was he? He took over, is that right?
No, to the point where even the Tory party members didn't vote for him. The Tory party members voted for Liz Truss, and they had to get rid of her to put Sunak in.
Right.
So that was really strange. As even the Tories didn't want him. And I was calling him the regional manager for the UK branch of the global government.
Right.
Because he was clearly just put in there to watch over the UK.
I admit politics is literally over my head.
Yeah.
Literally over. As I say, I've said this on here before. To me, it's which lie you want.
So he leaves that job because he doesn't want a wartime prime minister. The conspiracy theories were saying 6th of July. That's now passed. But I think NATO are gearing up to declare war on Russia over the Ukraine thing. At the same time, China are gearing up to take Taiwan. Argentina are gearing up to try and take back the Falklands. You've got the whole thing with Israel and Palestine kicking off. Iran are always after a pop. North Korea are always after a pop. It just feels like there's a lot of conflicts all over the world.
Yeah.
That are just starting to gear up at about the same time.
Which one do you think of all of those potential conflicts? I mean, some are potential because they're actually happening.
Yeah,
You know. But
it's how far they escalate, I think, is the issue now, yeah.
In your opinion, which one is the one that is the most concerning?
For us in Britain, I think Israel-Palestine is concerning, not because of what's happening over there, but because of the protesters and the marches that are happening over here could turn ugly.
You think that could escalate into something here?
I think that could turn ugly. I think people... it's very dangerous, but people seem to see politics like a team sport. I'm on the red team. I'm always going to vote for the red team. I'm red team till I die, whatever they do or say.
Right.
It's not a football team, it's politics. And it feels like the group that were all in for Ukraine have now gone all in for Palestine. And I think they would go a lot further than the people who aren't, I phrase this, the people that aren't Palestine or die. I think they'll go a lot further in terms of terrorist attacks and trying to take over institutions.
Do you think?
I think they're more zealots than the other side of the arguments are.
What was that word?
Zealots, like zealotry.
I don't know what zealotry means. What does zealotry mean?
I suppose the kind of thing leads people to terrorism.
Right.
Where you sort of think the ends meet necessitate the means.
Right. I don't know. I don't think there's enough protesters or anything to cause any form of major problem. Yeah, look, maybe a day of, riots and stuff, but I think military and armed forces would soon have that, extinguished.
I just think they're the guys that would take it in this country further than it should.
You think?
Which could cause an escalation in things, yeah.
Which side do you think is going a little bit more strong in terms of protests? And why do you think that is?
Over here, the pro-Palestinians are pushing it too far, and I think they're the same people that do things like pro-Ukraine, Just Stop Oil, Greenpeace. I think they're the same group of people, and I think they're willing to get their hands a lot dirtier than people on the other side of those arguments.
Yeah.
For example, Just Stop Oil will go and block a road and even stop emergency vehicles getting through.
Exactly that.
Whereas the anti-Just Stop Oil people just go, "Oh, you're being silly. Let me go to work." And they don't fight. They don't drag them out of the way. They don't retaliate. They just kind of sit back and watch them.
I understand somebody's right to protest, but I think, as you mentioned one there, Just Stop Oil, I think the way that some people go about their protests makes absolutely no sense to me.
I'll give you an example. Quite recently, two quite old people went after the Magna Carta. They were trying to break the glass case the Magna Carta's in.
Really? That's in Lincoln, isn't it?
People just stood there filming them. And you think, what's the security guard tackling them?
Yeah.
What's the Magna Carta?
The Magna Carta is a scroll, right?
An ancient book, a scroll.
Yeah,
it essentially gives us our rights in this country.
And
it's
held in Lincoln, and I've actually worked in the castle grounds there before.
Yeah.
And the big thing was like the Magna Carta's here. I don't know what it is.
It's literally like the first Bill of Rights that was written down that we still have.
Really?
It basically said an Englishman has a right to, I can't remember what's in it now, but he has a right to land and not to have his stuff stolen and for a fair trial in court by his peers and things like that. It was the first.
Who wrote this?
I'm not sure.
Now you're asking.
Who?
Isn't the Magna Carta the thing out of the Da Vinci Code?
It's been so long since I read and watched that, I can't remember now. And you think of the Holy Grail, that's what the Da Vinci Code was all about.
No idea.
So the Magna Carta basically gave us Britons our legal rights. And
so John Lackland wrote it and Stephen Langton.
As far as we know, it's the first time a document like that was ever written down.
So the Magna Carta was written.
When the king dragged you out of your house and said, you need to give me all of your cattle, we had a document where we could say, no, the king doesn't have a right to do that.
Right. Okay. I always heard the word Magna Carta. I thought it was some, exotic foreign land type thing. So that's an English thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
As I say, the Americans would call that the Bill of Rights, and they wrote that in like the 16th century or something like that.
Yeah, it's like their amendments, isn't it? That's the comparison. But the Magna Carta was written by a group of 13th century barons to protect their rights and property against the tyrannical king. It is concerned with many practical matters and specific grievances relevant to the feudal systems under which they lived.
Huh.
So
remember that scene from Monty Python where the peasants are harvesting mud and the king rides through and says, "I'm your king, bow to me." And they're saying, "You haven't got a right to do that, mate." This is the document that meant they say to the king, "You ain't got a right to do that, mate."
Right.
But when I went there, when I was working in these castle grounds, I was pulling pints for university students who'd graduated, and I thought the Magna Carta was well protected in like.
Oh, it was. I mean, these people were never going to get through that glass. It was all for show.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're prepared to try and break the glass and get to this ancient historical document, a revered document
I don't see
where the security guards tackle them to the floor.
And it comes back to my point of I understand people's right to protest, but the way of doing certain things like that, and I don't see any relevance in getting rid of the Magna Carta.
When they throw a tin of soup over an ancient painting, and they stand there and do a speech, and you're like, where's the security guards kicking their heads in?
Did you see the paint on what are them big rock?
Stonehenge.
Yeah. So recently, I don't know whether you saw this, Dan. I'll get it up.
No.
Stonehenge.
That's an ancient structure that was built in the 1950s.
You know, I've been to
Stonehenge. Another conspiracy theory for you.
It was built in the 50s?
Yeah.
Unfortunately...
We'll get onto that one.
Yeah, we'll get onto that. But unfortunately, Rob, I'm not as much in the conspiracy world as you. I understand and can listen and hear your points.
These are great things, and they're all over the country. They're fascinating, and I love walking around and learning about these things. But
so I
can't do that to them.
As I said, I'm not a big conspiracy guy or aliens or anything like that, but when I went to Stonehenge, right, there was this weird aura.
I've driven past it. You can see it from the M40, and I'll be honest, it was quite disappointing from the motorway. I'm sure it's totally different if you go there in person.
You go there and you think these are big rocks stood up.
That's about it. But it isn't really impressive, though. Yeah,
it was, and it was a real. There was a real aura about the place, and it had a weird quietness to it. That's what I remember from it.
Call me a hang on, right? Call me a party pooper, right?
Yeah.
What is impressive about some rocks?
Because those rocks were put there in a time even before written history. We don't really know what year they were put there, and some of that's. So this is down in the southwest of England.
Right.
Some of that rock comes from North Wales, and they're moving this in a time when putting something on a round log and pushing it was the height of technology.
Right.
And I mean, these things will weigh tons.
Yeah, so getting them to
travel. And they've
travel.
shipped them from like North Wales to southwest England and stood them on end and put that one across the top of it.
I mean, look, they're pretty big.
No, they're massive, mate.
We're talking tons.
Yeah, like, look how small this guy is compared to them. And there's tons of them. And yeah, I didn't realise the rock was from North Wales, but to make something travel that distance, even now, would be a logistical nightmare.
I would be lucky in my HGV to be allowed to move one of those rocks.
Do you think?
At a time, yeah. Even now, that would be some project to undertake.
Yeah, it really would. So back then, that's the significance of them, Dan, and that's why they're so
there's certain ways they're lined up with certain constellations and stars and the moon at certain times of year. So they celebrate summer solstice and winter solstice there, and there's something that lines up like perfectly with the moon on those nights.
You know what? Like that, I'll tell you that nothing really. Yeah, okay. I think it is quite an impressive feat, but do I think it's out the realms of possibility to move them stones from Wales to not the other side of the world, basically the neighbouring county? No, I don't think that's impossible.
Effectively, we're talking like cavemen. These are like ancient pre-Bronze Age people moving these, right? Why? What they should be focusing on in that era of history is survival, so breeding sheep and finding berries.
The why I can agree with. And I think all this I can get on board with. Again, don't pretend to understand it. But you know, like when stuff like line up, I've heard the similar thing with the pyramids in Egypt. That interests me because I feel like there may have been either a knowledge on or certainly a curiosity in something. In something that is kind of beyond what we thought they were able to do. That concept there, that does get my feathers up. Because I do believe through just stuff I've heard, I don't think we know all the facts.
But I think at a time in history when we're getting 3 meals a day is hard work.
Yes.
We've got to build this stuff out of wood. You've cut a tree down from the next field. You know, it's...
Yeah.
The extra steps they went through to make this.
Yeah.
It's so impressive. And we don't really know what it was for either.
I actually, think through what I've heard, I think it was some kind of like, like them places where they like kill people, like sacrifice type stuff. I think this is some kind of like sacrifice thing.
So I believe they found bodies on the site.
They did,
but then there's also the fact that it just lines up so well with all the stars and planets and stuff. There's so many different layers when they're trying to work out what it was for and how it was built. It's so incredible.
Yeah. Have you ever, on this note, have you ever heard that, like, the stuff they find in Egypt and stuff, not only this, like rocks from like weird places and stuff, and like how did they get them across this amount of thing, but there's evidence to show that like their tolerance of making things like that we would struggle today with the technology we have. Like they've made pottery and they've made, you know, this what's it called when something's symmetrical?
Yeah, I was looking at
the symmetry. Yeah,
I think it was from the Assyrians, some small ceramic pots.
Right,
but they're so small, they're so precise, and they're perfectly balanced.
Yeah,
and they make these great big ones where you think, oh, they probably made stew in that pot. You know, they probably kept flowers in that pot. But they make them so small, it's like they're just showing off.
Yeah.
And they're so well engineered, we would struggle to make it today.
Yeah. I definitely think, through what I've heard, I definitely think there's more to the story.
I believe there was ancient advanced civilizations that made a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
You know, the big places in Peru, like Machu Picchu and places like that as well.
Yeah.
They're not even square stones, but they're so well cut. And like you say, such great tolerances. They're perfectly matched up. Like the mortar wouldn't help it in the slightest. They're so well matched up.
Yeah.
And it's got to have been an advanced civilization that did this stuff.
I can't see, like, the story we get is, they were just really good with, like, hammer and chisels.
Yeah.
I don't think they were. Do you?
There's being good. And there's carving like a 40-ton stone to a 0.5 millimeter tolerance. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's, it doesn't make any sense.
And also just the time as well. So if you went from now, 2024,
right,
put Cleopatra somewhere over there.
Yeah.
And the pyramids somewhere over there. Cleopatra is closer to us than she is to building of the pyramids. That's how long ago they were built.
Yeah.
I think I've read they were closer to the T-Rex than they were to Cleopatra.
Yeah. Yeah, but isn't that something that we've, in recent times, figured out? Like, we've realised they're a lot older.
I mean, we're learning more and more. The more we study, the more we're going to learn. Yeah.
I heard through something I listened to about this sort of stuff that the people who, like, wrote the history books sort of thing, obviously there's like a lineage of, like, what are they? Anthropologists and this sort of thing. Yeah. But, like, obviously, as you said, as time's moving on and more evidence is coming out and more things are being learned which contradict these historical, you know, books and things that we're taught and knew. Like at school, we were taught that the Egyptians were wearing loincloths and they hammer and chisels. Mm. Well, there's a lot of stuff saying like, that's quite hard to believe. But they aren't willing, these historians, because there's like I don't know if it's an ego thing or like whatever, but they push back against it because
a recent change that I've seen that seems to have gone from conspiracy theory to mainstream is America. Right. So we were always taught when we were at school that America was found by Christopher Columbus in whatever the year was. Yeah. And before it was just Native Americans there. And then there were conspiracy theories saying they found Roman and Viking artifacts in America, which would predate Columbus.
Yeah.
And I don't know when it happened, but I started to see a few mainstream like history YouTube channels and stuff start to reference the Romans and Vikings in America.
Yeah, I've heard the Vikings.
So there are people slowly starting to accept that evidence changes over time, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I actually listened to a podcast where it was an archaeologist or anthropologist, you know, one of them people who look like they're out of Jurassic Park, you know, them people. And he had some like awesome position in like some university. And he was a bit of a content maker, like creator as well, so he was a good speaker. And they also had the guy, you've seen it, he did the Netflix documentary on ancient civilizations.
Graham Hancock, big fan, yeah.
So they had Graham Hancock versus him, two opposing arguments.
Yeah.
It was literally just a 3-hour like shouting match, basically, where they were both like literally dissing each other. But yeah, they couldn't agree. You know, I dare say the person who won it wasn't Hancock.
Really?
I listened to it because I'm a fan of Hancock. I didn't know who the other guy was. And that was, you know...
The problem with these debates is they just come down to name-calling and popularity contests. Nothing ever really gets settled in them.
No.
So recently, I don't know if you watched the recent American presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, but in terms of on the stage and the personality, and Trump won by light years. He had the energy, he had the jokes, he had the quick-fire wit, but when they broke down the details, Trump told a lot more half-truths and exaggerations than Joe Biden did.
Yeah.
But everyone thinks Trump won because he was the more articulate, the funnier, the more energetic.
I think anybody is against the other one.
Or the famous one was, I think it was the first televised election, was Kennedy versus Nixon. And when they polled people that listened on the radio, they all thought Nixon won. When they polled people that watched it on the telly, they all thought Kennedy won.
Why was that?
Because they if they were watching, they could see he was younger and more sprightly and stood up straight at the podium rather than clinging onto it and things like that. So it's
the visuals.
A debate often just comes down to like a popularity contest, I think. So I'm not the biggest fan of watching them.
No. But on the ancient civilization thing, like, 100%. We've talked about this before in here. Something's happened. Something's happened. We're gonna hear from our sponsor for a minute first before we get on to the next things. We'll be right back after this sponsor break. Do you have a business? Thinking about starting one? Dash, the bespoke web design and branding experts. When you have a business that needs a professional online presence, when your current website is starting to look a little outdated and tired, when you have an idea and want to see it brought to life online, that's where Dash can help. Dash create bespoke websites built around your business and its requirements, from exceptional e-commerce stores to sell your products online, to beautiful brochures showcasing who you are and what you do. The team at Dash will become an extension of your business. You'll be assigned a dedicated team who will help guide and advise from the initial design brief all the way to the website launch. Not only that, Dash provide full aftercare to carry out any changes, alterations or updates quickly and efficiently. It's like having your very own personal web development team 365 days a year. Dash understands that in today's world, the right online image, exposure and representation is the key to success. Book in a free, no obligation consultation with one of their experts today to see how Dash can make your online vision an online reality. Just visit www.dashmedia.co.uk or search Dash Media on Google to find out more. Dash, the bespoke website and branding experts.
You can just tell that I spend 12 hours a day listening to podcasts, can't you?
You get all this information from podcasts?
I just sit in my truck 12 hours a day just listening to them.
Just listening? Yeah, I suppose, yeah. You're not going to listen, there's only so many favourite songs you've got.
I love music, but not for 12 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Yeah, same.
Even your favourite band gets boring after a while.
Yeah. Isn't it great now that we have podcasts and things like this? I learn everything that I think I know from podcasts. How
people did my job before the technology we got now, I do not understand.
No idea.
Because you just had the radio. That was it. Playing the same 7-song playlist 4 times a day.
If you were lucky.
Yeah.
I bet some didn't.
I'm sure the early ones wouldn't have done. Yeah.
Literally, can you imagine being a truck driver, driving down the street or the road and just hearing like the rumble of a engine for 8 hours?
I've had a refrigerated trailer once. It was a freezer trailer for Greg's.
Right.
And even doing 56 down the motorway with my podcast on full volume, all I could hear was from the freezer behind me. I thought,
really?
People do this for a living 5 days a week.
Yeah.
That's a rough job, that.
I tell you what, like, tough. In your job, like, I bet you'd love to try this one day. You know the American trucks? Like USA style?
Yeah, I'm interested, I'm curious, but there are things that I think look worse. So my truck is like a flat front. So the windscreen's there, I know the bumper's there, and I can get right into a wall, right into a fence on around a tight yard. The American trucks have those massive bonnets on them. Mm-hmm. It can't be easy when you're trying to manoeuvre around a little tight yard. I mean, I do, you probably picture this in your mind, I do like Wickses in the northwest around Manchester and Barnsley and Burnley.
Yeah.
Some of those yards and back alleys reversing around the mills, you need to be like brushing the wall sometimes. I can't imagine doing it in the giant bonnet like that.
You know what? I don't think you have to, because I don't think America has that. I think everywhere's
somewhere.
Well, mate, you've been a few times. Everything's just...
There must be occasions where they've got to like reverse it around New York City or something.
Do you think?
There's got to be the occasion. You get building sites.
I guess so.
But they build a skyscraper. They must have a lorry coming in to drop the equipment off.
How often are you having like close calls, Rob? Because I'd imagine being on the roads, it's not you. You're a professional at what you do. It's the other idiots on the road.
The biggest issue, I think, is keeping the other road users safe, because a lot of people don't appreciate the blind spots, and they don't appreciate what the truck is and isn't capable of. Mm-hmm. So you'll get them, especially like on motorway junctions, when people cut across from lane 3 at the last second. Well, if I've got 40 ton in the back, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
There's a lot of momentum there.
One thing I will say, and it's a bit of a annoyance for me on the motorway, and I do find this, so I'm not coming at you, but I've been on the roads, obviously, do a lot of driving around the country. I'm quite fortunate, but I find it often that the whole motorway will be slowed down because this one lorry driver has decided to try and overtake in the 3rd lane, and they can only go 70.
Well, on the motorway, we're not allowed in the 3rd lane.
Right.
So that lorry driver's breaking the law straight away.
It might be the second.
Maybe dual carriageways on big A roads. That happens.
That might be the case then. But whenever this happens, everyone behind you gets slowed down, and it really frustrates me.
Why'd you do that, Rob?
It's more fuel efficient to stay on the cruise control. So if you're doing 56, you want to stay at 56. The driver could be on a time delivery. Could even be livestock in the back, which has to be there for a certain time.
Right.
But then another thing that a lot of truck drivers don't do is if a lorry's struggling to overtake you, just knock your cruise control down 1 or 2 miles an hour. Let him get past you.
Yeah.
He's going to get past you. He's caught you that far. Just let him past.
Yeah.
And it eases that traffic up behind. Yeah. Little things like that a lot of people just don't consider.
I admit I have seen that where they're overtaking each other, and you're behind the one that's overtaking.
One's doing 55 and a half, one's doing 56.
Yeah, and you think to yourself, hang on a minute, mate, wouldn't you just a dab?
Yeah.
Just a dab. Just let him past.
I'll literally knock it down 1 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Just let him pass.
Or just don't overtake.
Do you think there's an element of knob-headedness?
Well, a lot of the overtaking there's as well. So although your speed's restricted, if you've got a heavy weight and you're going downhill, you will speed up.
Yeah.
And it really runs away with you sometimes.
Right.
But then you go uphill and you slow down because you've got a heavy load and he hasn't. Yeah. So a lot of it is that change in speed when you're going up and downhill as well.
Because another thing that this is purely from films, and it's probably incorrect, and I'm actually excited to see your opinion on this. I think you're all like mates. Like, if I see 2 lorries overtaking, they know each other. They're speaking to each other. Through your little thing that you pull down and you
No
speak.
one has that anymore. Nowadays, everyone's just on big WhatsApp group chats.
Right, okay.
It wasn't that long ago people using those CB radios to talk a lot.
Yeah, and it's like, Roger, I can see you. I see you, blue guy. How you doing?
They definitely flash each other, like when it's time for them to pull in.
Yeah.
Like when one overtakes the other, like pretty much I've never seen... I can honestly say I don't think I've ever seen a time where the truck behind hasn't flashed.
But things like that, that's illegal,
What, to flash?
Yeah.
Is it?
And to thank with the indicators, and to even put your hand up to say thank you.
Really?
Technically, that's all illegal.
Yeah.
And we could get pulled over if we caught doing it.
No way.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
That is a bit ridiculous.
How
else are you meant to say thank you?
And I flick the indicators to say thank you.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Yeah, paddles, aren't there?
I honestly, I see us all as one.
Bus drivers do it in all.
Even I've just had 3 weeks off work.
Right.
And I think it was Tuesday night. I was loaded with like construction-sized sheets of timber. It was a heavy trailer. I went, oh, fucking hell. This is parking up for the night. This is the tightest and heaviest reverse I've had in like 4 weeks now. I was struggling.
Really?
But the guy next door came out and helped me. There is still a good camaraderie there in the industry, which is great, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you know what I mean?
I mean, in fairness, he doesn't want me to knock his wing mirror off either, so he's not totally selfless.
Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah. No, but there is definitely a pally-palliness thing, isn't there, going on?
Yeah, honestly, it's not...
It's strange because you don't know each other, but you're on the same boat, so you go into the cafe at the truck stop, and everyone's sat by themselves. But there's things like, just watch my cup of tea for I'm going to the toilet. Do you know what I mean? You're on the same boat, even though you don't know each other. Yeah. So that brings people together well.
Is there any, like in the trucking game, is there any, like turf wars? Is there any, rivalries? You know what I mean?
I mean, everyone hates Eddie Stobart.
Do they?
But other than that, not really.
Right.
Why is that?
People hate success, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, generally speaking, it's seen as like the you're not a real trucker. That's sort of snobbery that happens in most industries, I think. Yeah. Right.
Are they the posh guys, like?
Eddie, well, they're not even Eddie Stobart anymore. They're now owned by Kalina. But they're just ridiculously successful.
Right.
You used to see the green lorries everywhere with the women's names on, and now it's the white lorries. But they're everywhere. They've got loads of contracts, and people think they're not real truckers because they have clean vehicles and they're not covered in axle grease. And
yeah,
it's the snobbery you get in any industry.
But I bet the American truckers look at English truckers and think you're not real truckers because they go as a rule, they're going cross country.
So I was in Florida about 2-3 weeks ago. I'm doing 70 down the highway, and I couldn't catch the truck in front.
No way.
I don't know what their speed limit. I've never even looked into American laws, but apparently they can do 70.
Can they?
I was like, what the?
Yeah,
that's fast in a vehicle that size.
Yeah, what is that? Does that law apply?
We're restricted to 56 over here.
Really? So you can go no faster than 56 ever?
No, it's like a rev limiter. Huh. So if you've got weight and you're going downhill, it will go over that. So you've got to be careful if you're speeding.
So depending on the state or province, the maximum speed limit for the United States and Canada is between 65 and 75 miles per hour.
Well, I was doing 70 in Florida and not catching the truck in front of me.
Yeah. Is that pure?
I was a bit jealous, to be honest with you.
Safety reasons, 56, do you reckon?
Well, let's go back to politics. So we left Brexit in name only. So 56 comes out to, I believe it's 90 kilometres an hour.
Right.
So the EU regulations is 90 kilometres an hour. I could be slightly out with that, but it's a nice round number in kilometres. So the EU regs restricts them to that. So we had to go to 56 miles per hour for European fair play rules.
Right.
Even though our speed limit is actually 60. So even though we've now left the EU, we're still restricted to 56, even though the speed limit is 60. And I get it when you're meant to be acting like you're the same country, fair enough, we shouldn't have an advantage over a French driver. But we're not anymore. We should have an advantage over a French driver because that helps the English economy because we're delivering goods faster.
100%. You speed up that to maybe 60. Even
when you're talking the length of the country, 4 mile an hour adds up pretty quick.
Yeah, it does. Hours are going to be saved every day.
So the speed limit's always been 60, but the 56 was European fair play rules. And even though we left, we didn't really leave, did we? Because we're still got restrictions like that in all kinds of industries.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they'd reduce the speed. But obviously...
But we reduced ours to match Europe. They didn't increase theirs to match ours.
Right.
Because I think it's like 90 or something like that, but it's a nice round number over there.
Right. Oh, well.
Just while we're on it, have you ever seen any like bad crashes? Obviously, you're spending that much time on the motorway.
Not bad. I did get a warning from TikTok the other day. So there's a video I saw, and the truck driver's on his phone, and he hits a car on the motorway so hard it like immediately goes into a fireball.
Bloody hell.
And the question posed on the video was, he got sentenced to whatever. What do you think? And my comment was, he deserved every day of his sentence. That's idiotic driving. TikTok deleted the comment, and when I appealed it, they withheld it and they kept the comment deleted. What the
Why do you suppose that was?
I don't know. I didn't swear.
No.
Was it the word idiotic? Well, it was. I could have used much worse words for that. But in terms of actual in person, I've seen nothing more than sort of rear enders and little shunts. Nothing,
really?
Nothing. It's going to come. There's going to be a time when I see something horrible, but so far I've been very lucky.
Yeah.
You ever seen any absolute carnages before, Southpaw?
No, I've seen like near carnages where like, even myself, I've had near carnages. Like when I first started driving, I was down the back lanes coming from Stockton into Long Newton and came around this corner and it was a brand new Polo. I thought I'll just take it faster on this corner. And this like spider of like a tractor just came around the corner and like had arms popping out of everywhere, and I must have been millimeters from like getting twatted by that and then going into the bushes. So that was really bad, and I got humbled in my 17-year-old young age at that point. And then I haven't really seen anything awful. Similar to you, just rear ends and just like I've seen stuff on the motorway where people like nearly going into each other. You know when they both indicate at the same time, they're going in the same lane?
Yeah.
It's like, shit, something bad could happen, and slow right down. I'm quite observant.
You've got to try and predict things like that. Sometimes you see it. Sometimes you see two cars in front of you, think they're about to have a miscommunication.
Yeah.
And you just hold back a little bit and see what happens.
You know what I found really interesting? My auntie is like passed a thing to be a ambulance driver. Now to do that, like you have to be like, you know what? It's like police driving. You have to know where cars are miles down the road. You know what I mean? You have to be looking so far ahead and so far behind, because when you get tested on it, it's like, what's the blue car back there? What's the number plate of that one up there? Like, you have to be on it.
I mean, when I was learning to drive, my driving instructor said to me one day, what kind of car's behind us? I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a massive bloody police van. And I was like, I should be checking my mirrors more, shouldn't I? You caught me on that one.
So, no, I found that interesting. They're like being very observant, and I'd like to think of myself as a potential police driver.
It really helped in America a few weeks ago. It's the first time I've ever driven abroad. And it was a really useful skill set that I've picked up from the trucking, because I was just checking the mirrors constantly because I'm already in that habit. Because when you sit on the right of your car in this country and you're like there in the lane, well, they sat on the left. But you're trying to put yourself back to the right because that's where you're used to driving. And I've just got so used to just checking my mirrors constantly.
Yeah.
Little skills like that end up being so useful in other situations now.
100%.
Did you find yourself, when you driven abroad, obviously the steering wheel's on the other side, did you find yourself like, because your brain is used to your positioning in the road, did you find yourself like going over there?
That's what I mean. So when I'm driving in the UK, I'm on the right-hand side of the car and the dotted line's there.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm on the left side of the car and I'm trying to put myself so the dotted line's there.
Yeah.
But that'd be my passengers in the wrong lane then. Do you know what I mean? I've got the car's on the other side of me now.
Yeah.
Little things like that, you get in such a habit over the years of driving.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really hard when you get even a slight change to the system. It really throws you off.
Yeah.
I didn't know where to put my arm. I drive one-handed with my arm leaning on the door.
Right.
Well, there's nothing there in a foreign car. I'm hitting the handbrake all the time. Little things like that really throw you off.
I did find that when I've driven abroad, I did find myself like often, I don't know why or how, I think it's to do with where my head was used to sort of, you know, like where my head should be on the road sort of thing. I found myself a lot, I'd hear do-do-do-do-do, and I'd be going on the white line all the time on like the wrong side, and I think, oh, because I didn't want to be too close this way. You know what I mean? To the left. Yeah. It was the weirdest
difficult. Thing in America is turning right on a red light.
Yeah.
Have you seen this one, Southpaw?
Yeah, Dan told me about
Jesus.
this. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
That took me some time to get used to.
Because you get people beeping you, right?
Yeah.
Saying, go, 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 you can go right.
Yeah.
Well, so, do you know what? I never Googled this, so I might be in the wrong here, but I was at a junction. I'm turning right, so I should be able to go on the red light. But the traffic lights had a red arrow pointing right, which I think means don't turn right. I had a queue of cars beeping. I'm like, it's a red light. Surely they can all see the red light. I still have no idea who was right, who was wrong, so I've never bothered to Google it since.
No, same. A lot of driving over there is just like, see what the car in front does.
Or it's like stop sign. It will say something like, always stop. So who goes? Who's got priority? All four lanes are going to stop, so who goes? I just winged it.
That is a weird one. Do you remember when Ben was in, he told us about that? You stop at every stop sign. Yeah. And you have to like stop.
Some of them say like cross traffic doesn't stop. So okay, they've got priority, they're the main road, I can get that.
Yeah.
But it says like all four ways are going to stop. So who goes?
I took it to be that, when I was in America, I took it to be that whoever got to the line first has right of way.
That's what I was doing, but I was winging it a little bit.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. It is just a bit of...
And a couple of times I started moving and saw a police car. I was like, oh, fucking hell, I'm in trouble here.
Do you know, I think if you're a foreigner driving in a foreign country and they came to the window and said, like, what the hell are you doing? I think they'd give you the benefit of the doubt. I like to think.
I've had to play that card in Scotland in the truck.
Really? Are the rules different?
A friend of a friend was driving this truck in Scotland.
Right.
And when you come out of Inverness, you go down a dual carriageway before you join the main A road.
Right.
And in front of my friend was a lorry full of like logs and timber. And he was empty, my friend.
Right, I get you.
So foot down, got to 60, got round this lorry, and the blue lights flashed.
No way.
And he went, oh, fuck hell. So he goes, gets to the next lay-by. And the copper says, do you know what the speed limit is? It's 50, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Do you know what you were doing? Oh, I've got quite a load on. Can't have been that fast. Yeah, I got you at 60. Oh, shit.
No way. Did he let you off?
Check the licence. Saw obviously the name on the trailer said it was in County Durham. And said, I can tell you're not local, so it's 50 here and it's 40 on the next road, but just be careful. So, yeah.
So your friend
got... My friend got away with that one.
Yeah. Right. All right.
So my friend's played that card before.
Yeah.
Because the speed limits are all different in Scotland, just to really confuse you.
Your friend needs to watch what he's doing.
Definitely.
Doesn't he? Yeah, man. So, did you say you had something about... No, we've done the World War thing, haven't we?
We've touched on it, yeah. Is there any details? What are you doing to prepare for World War III?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, I think the plan is just to keep your head down.
One of my favourite sayings is hope for the best but prepare for the worst.
Okay.
So I think you should at least have like bottles of water and dried food.
Are you doing that?
Yeah.
Really?
Do the big 5-litre bottles you get. I've got 5 of those in the kitchen in a minute.
Right.
Few bags of rice, few bags of dried pasta. I've learnt how to purify river water. And I tested this. I got a litre out the river, purified it, drank it over the course of an evening. Tasted fucking awful, but it didn't make me ill. So I know.
How are you purifying it? Just by boiling it?
I'm actually going to do a TikTok video about it in the near future, but the gist of it is you get it in one container and you have a wick going down to another container, like a siphon.
Right.
And you let it... I use kitchen towel for mine, but you can use like an old T-shirt or something like that. And when it wicks through the material, it leaves all the sediment and crap in the first container.
Right.
And then you boil it to kill the bacteria.
Okay.
So the biggest issue I had was the river round Broken Scar in Darlington comes from the Pennines, which is very peaty.
Right.
So it was really green.
Right.
And you still drank it?
It's a very dark looking river because it's all peaty. It's not bad. It's not dirty. It's just the colour of the water because of the fields it's been through.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, so I know now if the water system goes down,
right,
I've still got water.
Would the gas still work though? You know what I mean? If we're talking about World War III.
You can light a fire.
Yeah, you light a fire, put a pan on it.
I guess so.
No, I mean, to be honest, that is one that is definitely worth knowing.
My brother and I have started making maps as well of food that we found to forage. Things like blackberries, raspberries, brambles, wild garlic, mushrooms. Wow. And we've started putting pins on maps of food. My brother's found grapes in Darlington.
He's what?
He's found grapes in Darlington to go foraging.
No way.
His vines coming over someone's fence onto a public footpath.
Right.
And he's literally on the footpath and picked grapes off this vine.
No way.
No way. So you've got maps laid out of where to find food? No way. Where do you find food?
Everywhere.
Really?
It's everywhere. If you know about dandelions, every part of a dandelion is edible. Every part and the dandelion, you can eat the flower, the stalk, the leaves, and you can boil the roots to make tea.
No way.
Knowing things like that, I mean, where do you find dandelions? Everywhere.
I suppose you can knock some nettle soup up, couldn't you?
Yeah, we found crayfish in 2 spots of the river in Darlington.
So are you like going out on a mission? Are you like thinking, okay, what do we do today? I'm going to go find food today.
I've got a little book about British foraging.
Right.
So if I'm going for a walk by myself, I'll get this book out and it's sorted by the months of the year. So I'll do that and see what I could spot.
Right.
And you just spot things as well. You recognise, I know that leaf from a book. I've actually got the newest version of the Google app. Lets you actually take a picture and search for that.
I've seen that.
So we went for a walk last weekend. I was what's that mushroom? Took a picture, gives me the name of the mushroom and tells me it's not edible. Not a problem. Keep walking.
That's brilliant.
We found a little orchard. This wasn't great. I took a picture of the fruit and it said apple. Thanks. Yeah. I couldn't work that one out for myself. It's not perfect, but it all helps.
I'm not doing anything to prepare for World War. Now listening to you, I feel like I should be.
It's not necessarily a war. I mean, we've come through COVID, right? What are you going to do if you wake up tomorrow and your taps aren't working and the whole of Northumbria water has gone down? What's your plan?
I mean, I don't live far from the petrol station, so I'll probably just go to the petrol station.
Assuming you're the first to notice it.
Ah, right, yeah.
Someone else might have been to the fridge and bought it all.
I mean, isn't there like, I don't know, like, all right, okay. So like, can't you just like drive to like, I don't know, the hills and there'll be like a stream and stuff? You know, just drink stream.
You still want to clean it though, don't you? I was always taught you shouldn't drink straight from the source when you're out because you don't know if there's like a dead cow in it up the river that you can't see.
I've seen loads of like Instagram videos and whatever of people going to like, say, the Lake District or what's that place close to us, like the Pennines and stuff like that, and they're just drinking straight from it.
It's not recommended.
I've done it anyway, I remember.
You don't know what's up the river, that's the problem.
I've done it before, I remember. And that was in the Lake District.
Have you?
I would not teacher, you know the people who like take you out with the clips on, you know them people?
Yeah.
Wear the harness and stuff in the daytime, you know them sorts of people.
What I have found quite near to Darlington as well is 3 different springs. Usually the spring water coming straight out the ground. Now that is clean and safe to drink.
Yeah. I think that's what it was that I drank.
Problem is they're all sulfuric, so they stink like rotten eggs.
But
yeah, it did, like, yeah.
So just understanding World War III.
Yeah.
What is your sort of version of events? What would happen? How would it work? What would be the effects to us?
There's a lot happening simultaneously. But basically you've got Russia and Ukraine is a proxy for NATO in the West, to the point where there have been some of the artillery shells that have come from Ukraine to Russia are American shells that would have taken longer to train the soldiers to use than the conflict had been going on for. So it has to have been Americans that were firing those, and the Russians know. So that's a proxy war now between the West and Russia. So there's that one. That's right on the border of Europe. You've got Israel, Palestine. I mean, that's been going on for centuries, and it probably will go on for more centuries, but it could overspill. You've got China want to take Taiwan, and America have said, we're not going to let you. Well, that takes American troops away from Ukraine to defend Taiwan. So China might see a weakness there because all the troops are in Europe, go over Taiwan, it splits America in 2, and we've got fewer American troops protecting Europe. You've got Argentina are talking about taking the Falkland Islands, which will send more British troops down there and away from defending us. You've got Iran, countries like Iran and North Korea, always taking pot shots at the West. And I just think there's so many little conflicts right now that could affect us happening at the same time. We've only got X number of soldiers to spread around the world to defend against these threats. And then we leave ourselves vulnerable to who knows what.
Yeah. Do you not think it's all like a big distraction? Like, I've heard it said that they have to start, that, you know, they have to do stuff like this. They have to keep us worrying about this and worrying about that and worrying about the next thing so that we don't stop and look at what's actually going on.
Maybe.
You know?
It's the old thing of, it's like the Simpsons monkey fight, isn't it? We're the monkeys fighting and they're the guys outside watching us fight.
Yeah.
The ant farm idea, which is we're just an ant farm for aliens.
Yeah. I mean, that NATO thing with like Russia, like I don't think it's conspiracy. Like it's just common knowledge that it's a proxy war. Like that's just known now. Of course,
the amount of money we're sending over there, not really trying to hide it.
No, yeah, it's not trying to be hidden at all. It's just in plain sight for all to see, and they're quite blatant about it as well. Like,
that's right on our doorstep.
Yeah,
I went to Poland a couple of years ago,
right
in Krakow, and there's a big statue of a dragon that breathes fire. It's really cool. And the tour guide said the gas for this statue comes from Russia. So we have a joke. If the dragon doesn't breathe fire, Russia falls out with us. It's not a funny joke anymore.
No. Poland are doing a thing or two, aren't they, like militarily, I've heard.
That's interesting. They've recently gone a bit more left with their prime minister. They've always been a very traditional right-leaning country. And they've recently gone quite left with their election. So I don't know where that's going to put Poland in the future.
Poland seems to have taken a stance, or certainly have the opinion that shit's going to get serious.
Yeah.
That's why they...
And they should know.
Yeah.
I mean, World War II started because they got invaded. So they should be able to spot these signs from living memory.
I watched on the China thing as well, to jump to a different one. I watched a video the other day of how Japan are militarizing for the first time, like big time, since the Second World War.
I only recently learned America have had bases there since World War II, and they haven't been able to form an army since World War II. They've only just started doing it.
Yeah, that was part of the deal.
Yeah.
So we blew them to smithereens, or America blew them to smithereens, and then moved in and said, you're never allowed to have an army again because you're too much of a nutcase, basically. But they are allowed now. That
was a very dangerous move because that's kind of what started World War II. Was after World War I, we punished the Germans so harshly. They had nothing. They had no money. They had no food. They had no prospects or future. They were on their arses because of what we were doing in retaliation during the peace deal. Right. And that's what allowed Hitler to rise up and say, it's these people's fault that we're poor. Hitler rises up, World War II starts. So I've only just recently learned they did this with Japan. But to do that to another country so soon after that happened with Germany, that was a really dangerous move. That could have gone very wrong if Japan had a similar reaction that Germany did at the end of World War I.
Does anyone actually know? Oh, no, I do know. I was going to say, obviously we all know about World War II. We all know about Hitler. Like it's common knowledge how that happened and why. Well, I was thinking, I don't really understand how World War I started, but I do. They killed that guy, didn't they?
I was watching a really interesting alternate history thing about that recently. And it was saying if Franz Ferdinand hadn't been assassinated, would World War I still have happened? And the answer was basically yes, because all the countries were ready for war.
Right.
They were training their men, they were stockpiling the ammunition, they were all ready. It was like just that tinderbox waiting for the spark. Right. And that was the spark that set everyone off.
Yeah.
So they, again, like I think now NATO are doing with Russia, they were all ready for it. They were stockpiling the weapons, they were building the tanks, they were training the men, just waiting for someone to make the first move. And I feel like that's the position we're in right now, especially with Ukraine and Russia.
You know what? I'm going to be the voice of, let's call it hope. I don't think there's going to be a world war.
I'd love to be wrong.
Yeah, I just think, because we know about nuclear stuff, or the world sort of knows about it, people can puff the chest out and make threats and stuff. But like, do you know what? If anybody actually presses the red button, there's not going to be a winner and loser. There's just going to be two losers.
I'm not worried about nukes.
No.
Because the public found out about nuclear weapons, 80-odd years ago?
Yeah.
Do you really think that's the best thing they've got now? 80 years of development and progress. Nukes are primitive.
Do you think?
I don't know what the next weapon is, but nukes are primitive news now.
Do you know they said that? Like, before the Russia-Ukraine thing, right, the sort of word on the street was, if there's ever a conflict, it's going to be fought different to the 1945 conflict. It's not. Apart from drones, it's pretty much the same thing.
I think there'll be a lot of stealth technology.
Do you know,
there's a theoretical weapon called rods of God, which is where they basically put a satellite over the target and drop a tungsten rod.
Right.
And by the time it hits the ground, it's got so much power inside it, it'll demolish almost anything.
Is that a real thing?
Theoretical. It could be a real thing. As far as I know, it's only theoretical, but it's easily done with the technology that we know people have.
A tungsten rod.
Tungsten just gives a hard metal. It could be made of anything. You could make it out of wood from that distance.
What? So
by the time it's come from space to the ground, it's got so much power and energy behind it, it'll penetrate even the deepest of nuclear bunkers.
Right.
It's only theoretical. You could really make the rod out of any material you wanted from that distance.
Or is it a laser, or is it actually metal?
Just a chunk of metal. You imagine you've got a satellite, say there's a satellite 5 miles above us right now.
Right.
And they drop a ball bearing on this building.
Right.
This building's flattened. You know, it doesn't take, from that distance, it doesn't take much.
The building, the ground, the nearby area, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and it's not...
It's
technology that we know we have.
Something coming from that distance would shatter the local area, wouldn't it?
All it with these is just a little harness on a GPS satellite that's above us right now.
Yeah.
And you put the satellite in position and drop it. I think it'd be fought with weapons like that.
Rods of God. Right, okay, look forward to that one.
That Russia-Ukraine thing, that's sort of give me hope. That's made me think that, I'm not saying it would be nice. Obviously, a lot of people are dying, which isn't very nice. But after that conflict is kicked off, it's not really it's still quite a primitive type conflict.
Yeah, they haven't escalated it yet.
Yeah. That just made me think it's not that scary. I thought it was good. Before, as it was happening, everybody was scared, thinking this is it. Nukes are coming, but it didn't.
Is it because I would assume Russia have got bigger weapons than Ukraine? I don't know if Ukraine are nuclear armed or not. I know Russia are. Is it because Putin hasn't felt that his life's in danger? If they went and invaded Moscow in retaliation, would he hit the big red button and send his biggest weapons across to Ukraine?
I'm sure he would.
That's what Zelensky may have used his biggest weapons for all we know.
I don't think he had any, Rob, to be honest.
That's what I mean.
I don't think he had any.
Whereas if Putin thinks his life's in danger, he's going to hit every red button he's got and just send the whole lot flying around the world. And then we'll find out what weapons the Russians have got.
But in doing so, he knows fine well that it's the jig is up.
Yeah, but when your back's against the wall, you hit them in the bunker and you've got all your red buttons in front of you. Personally, I'd hit every red button before they took me down.
Yeah, I guess so. But in doing so, then you definitely know that you and all your people...
You know you're already dead at that point.
Yeah, and that's just it.
It's like a rat in a corner. Rats will fight to the death if you're calling them, won't they?
Yeah, so they say.
So I think it's that kind of... I think we haven't seen what Russia have got.
No.
Because they're the attackers. They've never been, oh shit, we're in trouble here.
You know what worries me about Putin?
What?
Ego.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Would he want to leave his mark on the earth, even if he died? Yes.
I watched the Tucker Carlson interview.
Yeah, me too.
I liked him. He was
him.
Very articulate man. Clearly knew his history. Clearly loved his country. But I do think there's an intelligence ego there, which could be more dangerous than just an ego.
Yeah.
He knows what makes it into the history books and what doesn't.
Yeah.
I definitely am of the belief that there isn't... Putin will not be beat.
No.
That's one thing.
He's a man that's never lost in his life.
He may make an agreement that's satisfactory to him to call this off.
Yeah.
Maybe. But he won't be beat.
No.
Doesn't matter who you are. No way. You can't... I mean, Russia have never lost a war, right? That's the saying. Russia have never...
No, they haven't.
No. They're known... So, if you get in a war with Russia, there's two ways. It's going to be even or you lose, basically.
So Britain's never lost a war either. So we get to Britain versus Russia. That's like the proper...
I mean, we got...
immovable object versus unrelenting force, isn't it?
I mean, we didn't lose them too, but we did get battered by the Americans.
Oh, everyone did.
Yeah.
Russia got battered in World War II as well. Everyone suffered from that.
No, I mean, I think England used to run America or something, and there was a war, I think.
Yeah, I think America came to prominence after World War II. That was their time to become the global leader.
No, I'm talking before then. I think England, we ran America.
I think the British Empire, maybe not in name, definitely ran until the First World War. We were still bossing the world up until that point.
Yeah. No, but yeah, Russia, to my understanding, have never... Here's the thing. Do you know, and I, again, don't know this to be true, just interesting video I watched, that, if we say, who won the Second World War, right, for example, we all say, we did. But, really, we know the Americans did, because it was kind of the Americans. But That isn't actually what happened either. That's just what we're all told. Really, Russia won the war because Russia were on our team, right?
Yeah.
But Russia are the ones that won the war. And
on the Eastern Front, definitely.
Yeah.
But then you could argue that D-Day won it on the Western Front, which was Britain, America and Canada.
In Russia, they believe they won the war.
Russia definitely won the Eastern Front. I would say that D-Day won the Western Front, which is Britain, America and Canada working together. So I think it was a good pincer movement. But then that was Germany's mistake, was going two directions.
Yeah.
It's like I said earlier about splitting the troops between Taiwan and Ukraine and all the other and Falkland Isles. That's what Germany did, is they went east and west. So you've only got half an army on each front. Whereas Britain, we're only getting attacked from the south coast. We basically got our entire army on the south coast and have a strong defence.
Well, one thing's for sure, you don't beat Russia in a war.
No.
That's one thing we do know.
Do you think there's a possibility, Rob, of a war coming to our waters and land? And if so, what do you think it'd look like and who with?
So, first of all, I've got to put the caveat, not a racist, but for however many years now, there's been boats of fighting-age Muslim men entering our country and being put in hotels all over the country. If whatever religious leader, is there a Muslim version of the Pope? But if someone like that gives the go-ahead, there's a lot of men who aren't Christian in a Christian country all over the place, ready to do something. That's a very real worry I've got.
I've heard that. And don't America have the same thing with Chinese immigrants?
Yeah, the Chinese are coming across the Mexican border to enter America.
And there's a lot of them of military age.
Yeah.
With military-style haircuts.
And they're just setting they're setting themselves all over the country. Yeah. In the middle of towns and cities. So that's a concern that I've got. The only plus side there is they're going for towns and cities and we're in quite a rural area. So I could easily get out of Darlington. I'm surrounded by countryside. Yeah. So that's my positivity on that. And you can, personally for me at least,
you can filter your water and
exactly
find your berries. Yeah, it's good to have a plan, isn't it?
I know a lot of remote countryside, but I can just park my car and sit there for years.
That's one thing that's always sort of give me some comfort that if it kicks off, they're going to go for London, Manchester, Birmingham. Yeah. We might be all right.
Even the town of Darlington, it doesn't have a big immigrant community. They're there, and they're awesome. I love them, but it's not that big. It still feels like an English town, Darlington, which is definitely a positive thing. And the church I go to, there's 24 nationalities represented there. Wow! But obviously that means they're all Christian if they're going to church. And I think if there is a war in Britain in the future, it'll be more along religious lines than racial lines.
You think?
I think it'll be more Christians versus Muslims than whites versus blacks.
Well, hasn't every war been because of religion? In some way, shape or form, or beliefs?
Probably. We've got what they call an in-group preference, where if you're a caveman, and I'd be in a group of white cavemen, and a bunch of black cavemen came across the sea, there's a thing in a real primitive part of your brain that goes, outsiders, bad. So I think maybe going right back, there probably were racial wars before we had religion and things like that. But I think any future conflict, we've never really had a war in this country outside of the Civil War either, and that was more politics. That was more Republicans versus royal families than religions or races.
England have had a civil war?
Yeah, 1066, Battle of Hastings.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But that was more, one side didn't want royalty, one side wanted royalty. So that wasn't really religion or race. That was more politics in my book.
Who won royalty?
Yeah.
Is that why we have a king?
Why we still have a king, yeah.
Right, so it could have got...
That was Oliver Cromwell, I believe, wanted to abolish the royals.
No, isn't he the guy that wanted to blow up?
I could have these names completely wrong here.
He's the fireworks guy.
No, it's Guy Fawkes.
Who did you say?
Oliver Cromwell.
Oh, I thought they were the same bloke.
I believe he was the anti-royalist.
Was he?
But no, I think that's the only war we've really had on these shores. And that was more politics than anything else.
Yeah, it's quite hard. I suppose it's an island nation is quite difficult to invade, isn't it?
And I think a big worry as well with modern sensibilities is people are scared of being called racist. Oh, so, for example, the Manchester Arena bombing, a security guard saw a suspicious backpack and didn't want to say anything because he didn't want to be pointed out as a racist.
Right.
And it was a suspicious backpack. You've got the grooming gang scandals that have happened in several cities and towns. And a lot of that has come down to because councils didn't want to be called racist.
Right. Yeah, I can believe that. That's a tricky one, isn't it? Like, you know, just in our lifetime, in the past, however, couple of decades, there was, you know, starting from 9/11, there was these terrorist attacks and, you know, then at the same time, you know, we're told not to be racist, but you can't help it. Like, I'm not saying it's racism, but I guess it's just sort of like, not worry, but like suspicion that like when you see the guys dressed like that with like the headcloths on.
I think people are just scared of being called names. If I see someone kicking a dog, right, I don't care what you're wearing, I don't care what colour your skin is, I don't care what gender you are, how old you are. I'm going to point and say, stop kicking that dog. Do you know what I mean? I don't care if you call me racist, stop kicking the dog. I think people are just scared of being called those names and it allows crime to happen.
Do you think?
I think people are just so scared of being accused of things, yeah.
But it's got to be a good thing. Like, I remember a time in the 90s and things, it certainly wasn't like it was 50 years before and stuff, but I remember a lot more like open, I won't call it like horrible violent racism, but there was, you know, it was definitely common to say certain things.
So I don't mind saying this because I was too young to know better, right? But every school has its own kind of insults in the playground.
Yeah.
The big insult in our playground in primary school was, you smelly Arab. I didn't know what an Arab was at that age.
No.
Looking back, I'm like, man, you can't be doing that.
Yeah. Funny enough, I was just watching Andrew Tate this morning. I literally hadn't watched him for ages.
Top G.
Yeah. It just dawned on me. I thought, oh yeah, is he still like
still
around?
Kicking, yeah.
Yeah, so I went on the old Rumble app and brought his thing up and bloody hell, the things he says, like using the P word, you know.
But you shouldn't be afraid of it. If someone calls me a racist, do it. I know I'm not racist.
No.
I got a ban from Facebook years ago for racism.
You did? How?
I called a black man a faggot.
That's not racism.
Exactly.
Right.
If I'd got banned for homophobia, I would have taken that.
Yeah, that's homophobia.
But I wasn't being racist to him.
No. I didn't know you got banned off Facebook.
It was a picture of a protest, and it's basically a black guy with a mask on was attacking a policeman.
Right.
And I wrote, take your mask off, you faggot.
Right.
Which I think is a fair comment in that situation, but...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it was being homophobic either, but I would have accepted that because I used what is deemed to be a homophobic word.
Yeah, it is now.
But race never came into it.
No. Yeah, just that word, like faggot as a word. Once upon a time, it was just like...
I love faggots. Now we're in the oven. Some oven chips.
Oh, yeah, it's a food,
beautiful.
isn't it?
I love them. Yeah,
it's a food.
Love them.
Yeah, did you know that, Southpaw?
I didn't know faggot was a food.
Oh, so the brains faggots, find them in the freezer aisle. Absolutely delicious. It's like a big lump of pork with gravy. Because it's been processed and frozen, then you stick it in the oven. It's like really soft and crumbly when it comes out. It's really nice food.
Yeah, I've seen them in my dad's freezer.
Gorgeous.
They just look like meatballs, really.
Yeah, they're like big soft meatballs. Yeah, they're really nice.
It looks a bit off it, but...
That was another recent issue in America, especially having kids with us, was when the party smokes. And I'm just so British. I was going, where's so-and-so? Having a fag. Oh, I'm in America, aren't I?
Yeah.
The amount of times in public I've used the word fag in America.
Oh, yeah.
I just couldn't stop myself.
Yeah, the word fag.
Having a smoke, having a cigarette just doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
No. Have you ever tried faggots before? Have you had them?
I love them.
You have?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not even trying to make a bad joke here. I love faggots. They're proper British food.
Proper British food.
Proper British food. Faggots, Fray Bentos pies. That's a good British food.
Yeah. What's your favourite British dish? It's fish and chips, right? Has to be.
Oh, yeah, probably fish and chips. Oh, making me want fish and chips now, actually. Thinking of it.
Is that what a Moorish food?
Yeah.
Do you find when you have fish and chips once, you want it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem, isn't it? Once you you start getting in like a loop where you're having it.
Here's an issue with modernity. Last week we finished playing football about 9 p.m.
Right.
And my brother was giving me a lift. I said, Joe, I really fancy some fish and chips. We couldn't find the chippy.
What, one open?
Couldn't find the chippy. We went to the one nearest to us and it was closed already. This is like 9:15 at night.
Right. So
we said, there's one around the corner. So we drove around the corner to start a pizza shop. I ended up just getting a chicken wrap. I was like, how can you... I'm in Britain.
What's this world?
And I can't find a chippy on a Friday night.
What is
going
on?
I think there's something about that, though. I sort of like the timings of fish and chip shops, because it makes them seem a little bit more classy. Like you go to a takeaway, they're open anytime. But you go to a fish and chip shop, you've got to get there. But this is tea. It's not a late night.
I don't have them very often.
Yeah.
No, I'm generally really good with my diet. So when I fancy fish and chips, it's a rarity for me. And I just couldn't find anywhere to buy them.
Oh, it's a shame if
really
you can't find it.
The only problem with fish and chips is it's the after effect, isn't it? Like, you know for the rest of the day, if you've had fish and chips, you know you've had fish and chips.
Yeah, you can't move.
You can shower, you can brush your teeth, but you know you've had
That's
fish and chips.
That's why it's a tea time food, because you need that sleep to like shake off the effects of the fish and chips.
100%.
I don't think there's anything more British and delicious than fish and chips with salt and vinegar on.
On the beach.
On the beach.
Yeah,
do you know what? I'm going to come away from that. I don't like it on the beach. Because you got to use them little wooden forks. And them little wooden forks. What are you doing with that? Who invented that?
I'm going to make you jealous of my job, though.
Why?
Last summer, I parked up at Edinburgh truck stop.
Right.
And it's like a 2-mile walk to Portobello Beach.
Right.
So on the clock, I was sat on Portobello Beach having chips and curry sauce for my dinner.
Oh, it's lovely stuff.
Such a good job.
But you're in Scotland.
It was really nice, though. There were like teenagers on the beach playing volleyball. The sun was just setting. It was beautiful.
So, Paul, where did fish and chips first get created? Where did it first come from?
Question.
Like, where's the home of fish and chips? I know it was England, right?
It's got to be England.
No, it is. But I mean, what town?
A lot of food that you think comes from a particular country doesn't. And he's going to really disappoint me now and tell me it's a foreign food.
No, I'm certain. I'm not having it.
I'm just gearing myself up for a disappointment. He says it comes from like Denmark or somewhere.
I was gonna joke and say Darlington, but it's actually not too far away.
Whitby, I'm going to guess.
Sorry, I'm having mouse issues at the minute.
It's so going to disappoint us here.
I'm trying to work out where would it be.
So, according to Google, where did fish and chips actually originate? The origins of fish and chips is not entirely clear. Fried fish was introduced and sold by the East End Jews, while chips took off in Lancashire and Yorkshire.
See, here's the thing. We talk about the history books are wrong, right? It's just fried fish and fried potato.
Yeah.
Amen.
You'd imagine that's been around since we discovered cooking in fat. You know, the first came out, hot fat, make food hot. Well, there's chips.
Yeah.
I can't imagine... It's like the sandwich was invented by the other sandwich. No one up until that point had thought, I'm going to put something between two bits of bread. Really?
Yeah.
If
you think, though, like fish and chips once upon a time, like you'll have to have been very privileged because you couldn't transport fish. So unless you lived by the sea, you weren't eating fish, right?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
But like Tamworth, how are you getting fish to Tamworth?
Coventry, like the Midlands.
This makes me think this is how lobster is a delicacy.
Yeah.
It wasn't historically.
No.
It was a pest. It's literally like an underwater insect, lobster.
Yeah,
basically, yeah.
But the coastal communities in America would go fishing, get the fish, eat the good fish, and then they'd ship it into the country, like an hour or so into the country, and say, oh, do you want to try this? It's really tasty. We eat it all the time over on the coast. And they basically sold the lobsters to the suckers inland by convincing them it was a rare delicacy that the people on the coast ate all the time.
Is that really it?
I have heard a lot of people say, "Oh, there's this lobster, try it," and then they try it, and it's not. I've never tried it, actually.
No, it was literally like the crap from the nets, and it's like, well, we also sell the crap to the people in the inland who don't know any better.
Lobster's a complete rip-off.
I've never tried it.
I've had it a few times. A complete rip-off. You know, like it's obviously like always like the expensive thing on the menu.
Yeah,
like you don't get anything. Like you get like a tiny little piece of like meat.
When I was a kid,
it's not like, oh my God. It's just like, yeah, it's all right.
When I was a kid, my dad bought a whole crab from the fish market.
Right.
Obviously, I had this, I'm going to do fresh crab for dinner, it's going to be brilliant. And by the time he pulled the shell off and took out all the poisonous bits and the guts, and there was so little crab meat on it. It was like a proper crab.
Isn't it just the claw you eat?
Pretty much.
That's pretty much it. Right?
You've got like the big claw and like a little bit of meat in the shell, but most of what's in the shell is poisonous or tastes like shit. So you start with a massive crab.
Strongly disagree there, Rob. Strongly disagree.
You start like a massive crab, you get nothing out of it.
I used to go rock pooling as a kid, and my granddad would go winkling. I don't know if you heard of winkle before.
That's a British
so my granddad would go winkling, I'd find the crabs, and occasionally I'd find a big crab. Now, granddad would take that crab home, and he would get every single little bit of meat out of all the legs, out of all the claws, and he would take even a lot out of the main body as well. And then he would... mix it all together, get it all nice, and do it. I don't know what exactly you put in it, but then you put it back in the crab. Like,
I've seen this in restaurants. Yeah,
yeah, and he used to do that, and it was
unbelievable, so
fresh. Maybe a little. It's more. I think it was more just for sure. Like, there's the massive crab that you've caught, and then you're going to eat out of it as well.
I've seen the shop videos of like Asian street food where they're eating like the monkey brain out of the monkey skull. It seems like that to me, where you're putting the meat back in the animal eat it again. It's a bit sadistic. That
I think with the crab, you're all right. I think with the monkey brain, maybe slightly different.
Isn't that what haggis is? Isn't that like innards wrapped in a stomach?
No, the haggis are wild animals in Scotland.
No,
and they round them up in the woodland.
No,
and you cook them alive like you do with a lobster.
No,
that's what haggis is.
No. That's not what haggis is. No. It's what is haggis?
It's vegetables and oats in a sheep's stomach.
Right. It's vegetables and oats. I thought it was innards. No?
There could be some offal in there as well. But they basically fill the sheep's stomach with oats and stuff.
Right.
Put it in the oven. It's delicious. I love haggis.
Really?
Really nice, yeah.
Never tried it. I'm terrified
really
of it.
Really nice food.
Have you tried it, Southpaw?
Never tried haggis.
It's similar to like black pudding. It's that kind of dish.
I love black pudding,
and
like,
full of flavour, yeah.
Haggis, Scottish or Gaelic, I'm not going to say that, is a savoury pudding containing sheep's pluck, heart, liver and lungs.
I'd call that offal, yeah.
Minced with chopped onion, oatmeal, suet, spices and salt, mixed with stock and soaked while traditionally encased in the animal's stomach.
So they use like the stomach like you would like a sausage skin, just hold it all together while you're cooking it.
Right. Yeah, I never tried it.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Haggis, mashed potato and gravy.
And you're saying it's black pudding-esque?
I'd put it in that kind of category of food, yeah.
Yeah. I bet this is an Andy Ormerod type food. What are you saying, Southpaw?
Oh, Andy's all over this, isn't he?
All over this, yeah. If you had one meal, like if you're on death's door, or like you getting shot, what would you eat?
I hate questions like this. I could never pin things down to like one thing. If you ask me my favourite movie, I'll tell you 10. Do you know what I mean? I could never nail it down.
Look,
well, have you got a starter, main, dessert, or just one meal?
I just want the same thing for start. I'll have 3 courses of apple pie and custard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If I'm allowed 3 courses, I'll have cherry pie, apple pie, then apple crumble.
I want like a proper burger in there, like a proper Five Guys style burger.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
But then I also want a steak. I also want some fish. I can't nail it down to one dish.
I'm going mussels to start. I love mussels. Cool. Yeah, I love mussels. And then I'm going, I mean, it's all over there. It not going to matter what my body feels like tomorrow. So I'm going to get a parmo as well for me.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm going to smash it off with profiteroles.
Mussels and a parmo. That's an interesting combination.
Yeah, and then some profiteroles.
Yeah, profiteroles. yeah.
Literally, Mr. International.
Bodies in bits, but I'm going tomorrow.
That's it. Yeah, you might as well have 10 points. That's where I'm at. Have you?
No. Have you not got a favourite dish?
I'm going to go for a good burger, like a proper Five Guys bacon cheeseburger sort of thing.
That'll be your thing.
Yeah, I think so. But I'll give you a different answer on every day of the week. It all depends on your mood.
No, mine will never change. It's apple pie, morning, noon and night.
I hate just narrowing things down to one option. I just can't.
My nanny used to be like that. I'd always ask her what her favourite film was, and she got irritated by the question.
Yeah, I'll give you a list.
Yeah. I mean, I'll help everybody out. So, like, anybody that's like not sure what their favourite film is, it's The Godfather. And if you disbelieve me, it's because you haven't seen it.
I'm really going to upset you now.
Don't, Rob. Don't.
About 10 years ago, I thought, I'm going to try and watch every film on IMDb's top 100.
Right.
It was going really well till I got to The Godfather.
Don't do this.
And I was just sat like, what? This is just boring. And I thought, it must be near the end now. It's been dragging on long enough. And I moved the mouse over the screen, and it was like halfway through. And I just gave up, and I've never tried watching it since. It's one of those boring things I've ever watched.
It's just like, this is killing down this.
I was like, there must be 10 minutes left. I'm only halfway through. I'm done. I'm just tapping out.
It is a slog. It's 3 hours, yes. I've never heard that before. Normally, I've heard, if anybody's seen The Godfather, it's their favourite film. And if they haven't seen The Godfather, then they'll say it's not their favourite film, obviously.
I've given it a fair crack, and it just, did nothing for me at all.
So you've only ever...
And that's when I gave up on the project of watching every film in the top 100 as well.
Because that would have been like, I mean, you wouldn't have got far, because that would have been like 1, 2 or 3, right?
Honestly, I can't... I remember they were in like a wheat field or something like that.
Yeah. Well, he goes back to Sicily, doesn't he?
Yeah. It was around that area. I thought, it must be near the end. I saw Long Was Left, I was done.
You watched The Godfather Southpaw?
I haven't, but I think...
I knew he was going to say no. He hasn't watched any films. It's a running joke on this podcast.
I know, yeah.
I mean, I probably should have been a film production student, but I haven't seen it, but it's currently rated... Shawshank's top. The Godfather's 2. The Dark Knight is 3. Schindler's List. So I watched Shawshank. I've watched Dark Knight, Schindler's List, Lord of the Rings is next. Angry Men. Never seen Angry Men.
Oh, 12 Angry Men is incredible.
12, yeah, that's it. 12 Angry Men.
It's just in one room like this. So the gist of it is they're a jury, and this young boy is being tried for murder. And they all get into the jury room after the case and say, well, he's guilty, let's just get our hands up, go home. Who says he's guilty? And one man doesn't put his hand up. Right. And they say, come on, he's clearly guilty. And he says, yeah, but we're sending the man to his death here. Can't we talk about it? And that's the film. It's just them having a conversation around a table.
For the entire film.
And Tarantino could just suck you in with dialogue. It's that kind of film. It's just literally one camera in one room with 12 men talking.
But it's not a Tarantino film.
No, it's all black and white. I can't remember who made it now, but it's just one of those films that sucks you in and you listen to every single word. You can't tear yourself away.
So there's no other scenes. It's
literally in one room. Just 12 men around a table.
For like 2 hours.
And you will not want to miss a word of it.
And it's 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
Is it black and white?
Yeah.
Is it?
Let's go and watch it.
It's such a good film.
I might give that a watch.
And it will change your perspective on things as well. I don't know this, but for the way they're talking, it's just an open shut. Yeah, he's definitely guilty. So just this one man says, let's just talk about it.
Spoil the film. Does he end up getting off?
I'm not going to spoil the film.
No, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. I might watch it. Don't spoil it.
You'll be gripped for the duration. And it's when you say it's just 12 men around the table, it sounds shite. But you won't be able to tear yourself away from it. It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, the whole... that's a sign of a good filmmaker, because I think the... like Reservoir Dogs, for example, if you tried to describe that to somebody, like, it doesn't actually sound that good on paper.
Don't know what
but
it
you
is.
watch it, like, different story, innit?
I'm a big fan of I never the right way like comedies that don't make you laugh, like Napoleon Dynamite and Sideways. Have you seen those films? They're really funny films, but I couldn't tell you a single joke in them.
No.
It's more like the Royal Family or The Office or something like that, where you're more laughing at the situation and the people in the situation than the actual jokes. But I love those kind of films.
Yeah, big fan of them.
Yeah. What do you think is the funniest film you've ever seen? Mine was Step Brothers. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, that's good.
To be fair, it might actually be Step Brothers for me.
The first time I ever saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not disagreeing, but every time I watch Dumb and Dumber, I find another joke.
Yeah.
Oh, Dumb and Dumber's
I must watch that film 50 times and I find another joke every time I watch it.
I think Dumb and Dumber has sort of been outdone, I think, by big Step Brothers.
I just feel like there's so many layers to Dumb and Dumber the more you dive into it.
Jim Carrey, man. Like, why is he still...
Yes Man's
such
good.
a fan of Jim Carrey.
Yes Man. I like Yes Man. That's funny.
I've read the book, but I haven't seen the film.
Oh, it's
the book
really
was really good.
Really good film.
Everybody says that if you read the book, it's better than the film, right?
Well, I'm a fan of Danny Wallace anyway. He's a British comedian, Danny Wallace.
Right.
And he basically said for a year, I'm not going to say no to anything. And he wrote a book about his experiences. And it's a really interesting book.
Because he's not going to say no to anything.
Because he's a TV personality and a comedian anyway. He gets these, his production company will come to him and say, do you want to do this? And he had to say yes to everything. And the shows that he got, about the locations he went filming and the book deals he had to sign up for, he put himself in some really interesting situations.
Did people around him know he was doing this at the time?
I'm not sure. I can't remember that. But
because I wish I knew him.
Yeah, you sort of couldn't, could you?
The reason I got to Danny Wallace was a comedian called Dave Gorman. And he had this thing where he discovered that like an assistant manager of some small Scottish club was also called Dave Gorman.
Right.
So we went on the train to meet him. And Danny Wallace was his housemate at the time, so they co-wrote this book. But the challenge was to find a Dave Gorman for every card in the deck. So you had to find 52 Dave Gormans. And he chronicles their journey around the world meeting all these Dave Gormans.
How did you find
And he made a really good TV show out of it as well.
That's brilliant.
Because it was about 20 odd years ago now, so it was quite early internet.
Right.
So at one point, they're literally doing Dave Gorman at Yahoo, Dave.Gorman at Yahoo, D.Gorman at Yahoo, Dave Gorman at Hotmail, D.Gorman at Hotmail, and just hoping people came back to him.
Right.
That's brilliant.
I know, yeah. How would you
Or we'd meet, we'd get like a bonus Dave Gorman because his nephew was called Dave Gorman that he hadn't discovered until now.
What show was this?
I'm Dave Gorman.
Of course it was, yeah.
But Danny Wallace was his housemate and they co-wrote the book together and it's such a funny book and such a funny show.
I'm Dave Gorman.
But he's like a mathematical comedian, so he has like charts and everything, so like miles per Gorman and stuff like that.
Right, miles per Gorman.
I can't wait to see the real...
Yeah.
This is the shit hungover men do when they live together, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Tell you what, Rob, hit us with some more conspiracy. You know some more stuff, mate.
Rothschilds were behind the sink of the Titanic. If you believe it was Titanic, it could have been the Olympic that went down.
Okay.
So there's a lot of conspiracy around the Titanic.
Okay, I'm interested because isn't that pretty much like shut and dry? Like,
well, the first one, my youngest says this a lot. It wasn't the Titanic; it was the Olympic, which was a sister ship owned by the same company, which looked identical but was older. So they got a massive insurance policy on the Titanic because it was unsinkable. Changed the paint on the Olympic to say Titanic, sent it out and sunk it, and got a massive payment on the Titanic insurance policy.
But if anybody ever saw the Olympic afterwards, that just gets rid of that immediately, right?
I've never dived into that, to be honest with you. It's one that I've heard, but I've never delved into. But the one that interests me about the Titanic is there was large debates in American politics at the time about starting the Federal Reserve, which is like the American version of the Bank of England.
It was what? Say again?
So there was big debates around America at the time, because America's not really a country, it's 50 individual states, kind of like the EU is.
Right.
Which come together to form the United States.
Okay.
A bit like the EU is separate countries have come together to form the European Union.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of debate at the time about starting a central bank and the Federal Reserve, which would be like them copying the Bank of England, having one central bank to do monetary policy and money printing and things like that. Well, a lot of people who are against the Federal Reserve were on the Titanic. There was going to be a big business meeting there. And the people that were for the Federal Reserve, the Rothschilds, missed the boat.
Is that a fact?
That's a fact.
They missed the boat.
So when the boat sank, all the anti-Federal Reserve people went down with it, and the pro-Federal Reserve people that missed the boat were left almost unopposed to start the Federal Reserve.
We're not talking like actual Rothschilds, though.
The Rothschilds family made their fortune in global banking.
No. I mean, they were supposed to be on the boat.
They were supposed to be on the boat.
Well, my belief is that if you're a Rothschild, that boat isn't leaving until you get there, whether you're a day late.
If you tell it to stay, yeah.
Which they would. Oh, yeah, if they tell it to stay. What if they
Or
wanted
they say,
it to?
no, gonna miss the sail, never mind, just go without me, I'll catch you up.
That one, yeah, maybe. Maybe I can see that. The first one, about the Olympic, I dare say if you just Google the Olympic boat 1913, if there's anything of it.
It's one of those like baby's first conspiracy theories. Everyone gets into it with the moon landing was fake and the Titanic didn't sink. That's like baby's first conspiracy.
Right. Isn't the first conspiracy the world's flat? Is that the first one?
It's certainly one of them, yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I'm really undecided.
Oh, Rob, don't.
I'm still undecided on it.
Not on that one, Rob. Come on, fam.
I've not seen evidence personally to confirm one way or another. I don't know what shape it is.
I do. It's round.
Because even on the plane, I've only seen that far. Do you know what I mean? I've not been up into space and looked at it myself.
No, it's round.
I think there's evidence both ways. I really do.
Really? I love it. I love a conspiracy. I can get on board with some of them with the moon landing. Yeah, we might not have, but we might.
For example, I believe the Bible is true. Yeah, and if you read the early Bible, particularly Genesis, when he's creating the earth, it literally says he created the earth and a firmament separating the earth and the heavens from the waters above it.
Right.
Which would suggest a flat earth with a dome and water outside the dome.
Nah.
And you can't say I believe that bit of the Bible and not that bit of the Bible.
So are all the other planets flat as well then?
Are there other planets? But let's say Mars is round and it's however many million miles away. When I look through a telescope, it's always going to look like a flat circle to me.
Yeah, but
it could be like a pole shape. It could be round, but from my perspective, it's always going to look like a flat circle to me.
Yeah, but this is curved. If I do that, it's flat.
But if you hold it, so that's bottle shaped, yeah?
Yeah.
If I hold it that way to the camera, it's round.
Yeah.
And without moving the camera around, how would you prove it's not just a flat disc?
But then every other planet that you look at has to be situated perfectly away from.
Well, how many planets have you seen, even through a telescope? How many have you personally seen?
Well, I haven't seen any.
I've looked through some telescopes.
I've seen the moon, obviously.
Yeah.
And I've seen Venus. Venus is like a bright star to me.
Yeah.
You can see Venus with the naked eye, just as like a bright star. Because it's so far away and so small. So personally, I've only really seen the moon myself. I've seen pictures of the other planets, and I'm not saying they don't exist. But what I've seen is a bright star that someone tells me is Venus, and the moon, which to me looks like a flat circle. And the sun, which again looks like a flat circle.
Yeah,
and this is where I struggle. You should believe, what does it say? You should believe a third of what you hear and half of what you see.
Right. Believe a third of what you hear, but half of what you see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've seen 2 flat discs and a bright star.
Right.
To prove that there's other planets out there.
Right. Yeah. No, on that one, I lean on the just the fact that apparently, loads of people have seen it and loads of people know they're there. I'm just going with that.
This is it, yeah.
You know, I can't see what the like the benefit is or the win in just making up planets. You know, the moon landing.
Yeah,
like I can see a reason why that would be good to make that up because
they
wanted
it very politically expedient to make that one up. Yeah,
the Rothschilds sinking the Titanic. All right, maybe I can see a reason.
There's a reason. There's a motive for these ones. Yeah,
yeah. Switching it, I don't see that. I don't see why you would switch the boat.
Insurance payout. That's the big motive that I've seen.
But the flat thing, like, what's the benefit in that?
Well, the big thing for the flat thing is that we're not allowed to just walk into Antarctica and explore it. So the flat earthers believe that the North Pole's in the middle.
Why are you not allowed to do that?
You tell me.
But you are allowed to
because of the international treaty, you can't go and explore it.
People have.
You can go to like the scientific research bases and things like that.
Right.
But you can't just walk off. Like we can walk across that field now and just have an explore, and no one's going to come and stop us.
But
you can't do that in Antarctica.
But people have to be the first person to the South Pole.
Did they get there? I think didn't Scott's camp get like some of the way there and die?
Like loads of people tried.
How many have made it?
People have made it.
Oh, definitely. I've seen lots of people make
put flags there.
If you like own a plane, right?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to just fly over it and see what's there. They just don't let you.
You're not allowed to fly over Antarctica.
No. And as I said earlier, it's like the only international treaty that hasn't been broken, like literally in the history of the world.
Here's the thing: why don't planes go that way?
Exactly.
So more than 100,000 tourists have visited Antarctica.
Yeah, people see
the coast, the scientific research bases. But have they gone further than into the island?
So,
if you were flying from, say, Argentina to Australia, why wouldn't you fly over Antarctica?
And that was last year as well.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, to us it might look closer, but maybe it isn't. Maybe that isn't the quickest way.
I have heard of like this Antarctica theory where there's another world in Antarctica.
Yeah, so they call Antarctica the ice wall because apparently that goes around the outside of the flat Earth. And the big one is Captain Byrd had a diary where apparently he flew over there and found lush green lands and people communicating with him on his radio and stuff like that. So a lot of people believe that there's further lands outside of Antarctica. But last time I was here, we talked about the fact that I believe there's a lot more land on the Earth that we don't know about.
Really?
Look at the size of the Pacific and the Atlantic.
Big like.
There could be, let's just say the globe is real and they haven't lied about the shape of the globe or the land or anything like that.
Right.
There's massive oceans where there could be islands that we haven't been told about. If you spin a globe the right way, the Pacific Ocean makes the entire planet look blue. So literally half the planet is Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, it is.
I've never been there.
No, I've never been
They could
there.
be telling the truth about every other inch of the Earth, but there could be a whole continent there that we don't know about.
Why would they not tell us?
Oh, who knows what's there?
Yeah. You know Antarctica?
Yeah.
Is it actually land or is it snow and ice?
I believe it's land with ice on top of it, whereas the North Pole's just ice.
Right, okay. Okay.
So what they believe is the Antarctica is the ice wall. And when you like stretch it over a ball, that drops down to the south, and that's why they tell us it's just an island.
South Pole, mate, will you Google why don't planes fly over Antarctica, like commercial flights?
If I had to guess, it's because if you have to make an emergency landing, it's a bad place to land.
It's better than the sea.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
Because when you fly to America, you go like over the north of the Atlantic, then come down the east coast of America, and I believe that's because if you need to make an emergency landing, the land's right there for most of the flight.
It's mainly due to harsh weather conditions.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah.
You know.
And this is why I don't lean one way or the other, because for every argument for, there's an argument against, and that's whether you're talking round or flat. But at the end of the day as well, it makes no difference.
I mean, the only thing is the whole, like, planets, are they all flat? I like you, Dan, I don't see the point in lying about that. And when you're growing up and you've been in classrooms and they've got all the planets above your head, like, what's the point in teaching kids that they are round if they're not?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Totally, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just my perspective on that.
But the other thing as well, so let's say the Earth is flat and there's no planets at all, it's all made up, yeah? It only takes a few people to make that lie up, because then everybody else underneath them believes it.
I guess if you're
let's say Rothschild runs the world, yeah, and he says, right, let's pretend there's planets. He's only got to pass that on to his departments of education. And he can even tell them it's the truth. He can say, oh, UK Department of Education, scientists have discovered that there's 8 other planets in the solar system. Here's the names of them. Here's how big they are. And everybody else thinks they're telling the truth. So it doesn't need a lot of people to make a conspiracy happen.
No. Yeah, I see what you're saying. If you're getting, if the planets really were flat, but then as Southpod just said, why would we be taught that they're round? Well, that's because the people that taught us it believe that they're round.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're not tricking
Our teachers weren't purposely lying to us. They believe they're telling us the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's probably come from before then.
It literally needs one person to start that message going down the chain of command.
But for the life of me, that's when I get interested in a conspiracy theory, right? When I can make a reason make sense for why that would be being said.
Yeah.
Moon landings, wars that have been funded, which really aren't conspiracies. There's loads of conspiracies, the alien thing, all them sorts of ones. I get it. I understand why it would be beneficial for certain people to spin that narrative. I get it. But some of them, I don't get it. If there isn't something that makes sense as to why, then my brain just automatically shoos it and just.
No, I think there's always got to be a motive. Else, why would they bother?
Yeah, having
the conspiracy. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I recently heard that they can run vehicles on hydrogen,
Yeah, and water's another popular one as well. People made vehicles that run on water,
but they don't because money.
Yeah,
that's why.
I'll tell you a real conspiracy was in the 20s, 30s, 40s when trams in cities were getting popular in both Britain and America.
Right.
And they were basically shut down by the oil companies and the car companies.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Did campaigns that they were dangerous and bad for the environment and the smog, and they ran over children and horses and stuff like that. And they pretty much stopped it. So we could have had electric public transport, but the oil companies managed to get their PR game ahead and stop that from happening.
Like on the PR game thing, if you asked 100 people what's causing global warming, that is on the basis that it is actually happening, because that's a conspiracy in itself. Yeah. But let's just pretend, for argument's sake, that we are actually global warming. It is actually getting warmer, just for the case of this point. If you asked 100 people what's causing global warming, very few would say what I heard to be one of the biggest factors, which is fishing.
Okay.
So, have you ever seen the Netflix documentary Seaspiracy?
No, I haven't.
Obviously, I'm a moron, right? So, obviously, I'm going to butcher this, right? But most people are going to say things like emissions, aerosols, I don't know.
Yeah, oil. Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, Seaspiracy makes out that the main problem with global warming isn't them things, and it's actually fishing. And it goes something along the lines of, right, we're taking all the fish out of the sea, right? Fish produce something that basically ends up in the sky, right? They secrete something, goes up, goes out, and apparently because we're overfishing and 90% of the world's fish has been munched by man, that's what's causing global warming. The reason is, again, money. That is much more of a money empire, and they want to avoid it, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if it's true.
But then my counter to that would be the whole circle of life thing. We eat it, but we're not destroying it. eventually it comes out of our bodies, or we get buried and it goes back into the ground. So would it not just carry on, kind of like the water cycle does?
I don't know what it says so far.
So it says the extra carbon emitted into the atmosphere in order to catch the fewer fish aggravates climate change, and is seen. Sorry, I can't even read this. Through
a rise of temperature.
Through a rise in temperature, that's the AI butchering that, or they've sort of, it's through a rise in temperature. Ocean acidification and deoxygenation. This in turn disturbs fish populations, reproduction and migration patterns, ultimately further impacting fisheries.
Just type in South Paul's the question, is overfishing causing global warming?
To me, that's more about the issue of overfishing and climate change, which is where we're disrupting the natural habitats, and that's not a conspiracy theory at all, is it? I think we all agree.
Same stuff.
That we're disrupting their natural habitats.
I don't know.
This sounds to me like the idea that cows are causing global warming because they produce methane.
Yeah, I'm not buying that.
No, but they're trying to... Here's the theory. They're trying to stop us from eating meat and get onto like locusts and cricket paste and stuff like that.
You could fix global warming then, couldn't you? You just have massive fish farms. It'd be very inhumane, but you could just have massive bodies of water filled with tons of fish.
I mean, I don't believe that man-made global warming is an issue. I don't think ocean levels are rising. I think any change in temperature are just natural. They would have happened whether we're here or not.
Well, that's a fact. That's an ice age.
Yeah, we're still in an ice age.
Yeah. Well, that is true. Temperature does go up and down.
And the little things like, why do people like Bill Gates and Barack Obama buy massive multi-million-dollar seafront property if they know the ocean levels are rising and it's going to be underwater in 10 years?
Because they won't be alive to be worried about it.
Yeah, Obama will. He's not that old. He's about 50-odd, isn't he?
Oh, mate, before the sea overtakes the land, I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of years.
If you really believe the ocean was rising that fast and you're going to be underwater in 10 years, would you buy a mansion there or on top of a mountain?
I do believe the ocean is rising. I think it's at a very slow rate.
I can really quickly dispel this.
Go on.
You can look at historical pictures. Do say Sydney Harbour in 1900,
right,
and then Sydney Harbour now, and the ocean's in exactly the same place. Hasn't moved a millimetre. Because we've had photography for that long now that we can see way back and see the ocean level just hasn't changed.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I am an environmentalist. I love nature, I love animals. I just don't think that's the thing we should be trying to stop.
No.
We should be looking after forests and keeping rivers clean and things like that, you know? If you've already done the comparison pictures for me by the looks of things.
Bloody hell. Sydney's come along, hasn't it?
Hasn't it just?
Jesus.
But if you look at, say, the Opera House, for example, the height of the ocean just hasn't changed.
No. But it happens so slow and so minute.
Or Liverpool was Plymouth Rock, which is where Columbus got to America, is still at the edge of the sea. It's literally a little rock where they commemorate it, and it's still at the edge of the sea. It hasn't moved since whatever year it was Columbus landed in America.
Yeah. Do you not just think that's because the sea's rising so slowly?
Yeah, but we're talking like it hasn't moved a millimetre in centuries.
How do we know it hasn't moved a millimetre?
Because the rock is still on the edge of the sea.
Yeah.
If the sea had risen at all, the rock would be even slightly underwater by now.
Like tides, though. It could be at different times of the tide. Tide brings it in, tide brings it out. You might have caught one picture where the tide's in and one picture where the tide's out and they look the same.
But still, all these landmarks just show the water in the same place. I went to the Tower of London last year for the first time.
Right.
And Traitors Gate is on the Thames.
Right.
And it's still on the Thames. It's not under the Thames. It's still on the Thames. And that's centuries old.
What's Traitors Gate?
I think with rivers you want to be careful because there are ways for us with dams and such things.
That's true. Yeah, I'll give you that for rivers.
There's ways that we can sort of control.
Although the Thames is tidal, I don't know how tidal. I'll give you that for rivers, definitely.
Yeah.
The Traitors Gate was the first building in Tower of London was built in 1066. But Traitors Gate is an entrance on the bank of the Thames where they would take the prisoners in and out by boat.
Right.
So they wouldn't. I suppose that was like prison vans nowadays. Right. Rather than risking people breaking them out from the horse and carriage, they could just sail them straight in through this fortified gate on the Thames and straight to the Tower of London.
Huh.
That was a fascinating place, that Tower of London. Yeah. Really worth a visit.
Is it?
One of my favourite things, we had a collection of Henry VIII's armour over the years. And as he goes on, the armour's getting wider and wider. And the codpiece is getting bigger and bigger.
Of course.
It gave me a good little laugh.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, he was a fat man, wasn't he?
But it was such a place for the history. Like you walk in and it's like, oh, here's Walter Raleigh's office when he was in prison. It's like, wow, the history here.
Yeah, I do love a museum.
And that's one of the things I love about Britain and Europe. It's just the history we've got.
Yeah, we have history.
I was in a building built in 1066 looking at Walter Raleigh's office. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get that in, like, say, America, for example.
And you walk outside, you see the gherkin over the wall.
What's the gherkin?
That massive round skyscraper. It's part of the London skyline.
Oh, yeah.
That's literally over the wall of the Tower of London. You know,
Yeah.
The clash of old and new is incredible.
Yeah, you get that in old European cities, don't you?
Yeah, Europe's awesome.
Yeah, it's one thing America don't have. They don't have real history, like not history.
I mean, they try, but the country's only like
300.
200-300 years old. Yeah, so they do their best, bless them.
Yeah, they do their best. I guess so. They don't have no castles, though.
No castles.
No. Listen, I'm going to have a wee, so we'll be right back after this.
Sounds good.
How was your wee, sir?
Oh, it was lovely.
Mine was all right, you know. It was. I didn't have to push it out. It just...
It was better than my last one when Derek set the alarm off.
Yeah.
There's a lot less stress on this one.
Yeah, a lot less stress. I know, weeing under that sort of pressure.
That was an ear-piercing alarm, that.
I bet.
That was awful.
I like that, even though that alarm was so loud and so, like, you know, just like it really, you couldn't avoid it. I love the fact that you still carried on with your wee.
In fairness, and where I was on the other side of the wall, it sounded like maybe some kind of air compressor or something like that had gone off.
Right.
It was loud. But it was a lot lower pitch, and I thought I triggered some kind of air filtration or something.
At first, I thought you were screaming. At first, it was like such a shocking sound out of nowhere. I was like, bloody hell, Rob, that's some belt he's got there. Like,
it is an issue. Sometimes I trap my dick under the toilet seat because it's too big.
Right.
Nightmare, that one happens, isn't it? Absolute nightmare. I like that, Rob.
Let's keep the tone classy.
Yeah. We were doing so well. So what else we got, Rob? What else do you know? What's been happening?
Man, there's just so many. I saw a really daft video on TikTok a couple of months ago. This woman finds a bottle of water on the floor.
Right.
And she makes this point of basically taking the lid off and pouring the water out to free the trapped water.
Sorry, say that again.
She goes around, when she sees a bottle on the floor with some water in it, she frees the trapped water.
So
and you know what? The first reaction, I went, look at this fucking environmental idiot. Come on, like, trap, you stupid hippie. And all the comments, but I thought, actually...
You started doing it, didn't you?
No. The water cycle. So you got the water in the sea, right? And it gets drunk by people and animals or whatever and gets way back into... Then it evaporates and goes into the clouds and comes back down. And I thought, is water a limited resource or not?
What do you mean by what do you mean by limited resource?
I like
because you've got the water cycle where it gets drunk and whatever and evaporated into the clouds and rains back down again. So if water's being made over the course of human history, wouldn't we get more and more water because it's still being recycled at the same time? Or is it a limited resource? And she's actually right because when we put that bottle into landfill with water in it, we're taking that bit of water out of the water cycle.
I get that. And that's interesting. Do you get that?
That's really one to think about, isn't it?
That's very odd.
When you stop laughing at the mad environmentalists, like, she might have a point here, actually.
Do you get it though, Southboy, yeah?
I get it, yeah. But then surely even in landfill, once it got burnt, then...
Yeah, how long does it take a plastic bottle to...
Well, never, apparently.
To degrade, yeah.
So, yeah, actually, like...
It really got me thinking, should I be pouring water out my bottles before I put them in the bin?
Where is the new water coming from?
Yeah.
Like, what if...
The rain. Let's call it
a billion... Yeah, hang on, Southboy. Let's say there's 1 million litres. I know there's a lot more.
Yeah.
Let's just, for a round number, call it 1 million litres, right? Okay, right now on this planet, there's 1 million litres worth of liquid, right? It's going in a cycle at all times, right? It's going up to the clouds, coming back down, or been drank, and then going back. It's a cycle.
Yeah.
Where's the new water coming from? Is it like no more is coming in?
No, it is.
Where
so
from?
So with this cycle, the cycle is designed to produce more than it needs to produce. No, that doesn't make sense. But it's designed in a way that I believe that you get more water than it costs to make that amount of water.
With the Earth being like billions of years old, if you believe mainstream science, shouldn't we be underwater by now? Because there's been like more water being made for these billions of years than there's been being used up.
Shit, yeah.
And before we had like plastic bottles, it wasn't getting buried in landfills. It was all going back into the ground.
But then it's designed in a way that surely it's...
But hang on.
Fuck. You got me there, Rob, to be fair.
Does the exact same amount of liquid come out of you that goes in?
Eventually. Because at some point, if I don't weigh out that entire half litre now, it's going to get sweated out. At some point, I'm going to die and get put into the ground. It's all going to come out eventually somehow, isn't it?
Okay, I know where there's more water coming from. The melting of the ice cap.
That's just frozen water.
It's still water. Once it gets melted,
it's not
water.
new water, is it?
Well, it's not in our cycle.
It's not.
So here we go. Part of the ice cap, right now, is ice.
Yeah.
It's not in our water cycle, right? So in the next 24 hours, there'll be a cycle of water somewhere. Yeah. Someone will have a piss. This ice isn't part of that cycle. In 100 years' time, some more of this will have melted and added to this.
But rain and snow would have fallen on that to replace what's melted off and gone into the sea.
Right.
So if there's like 100 tons of ice in this glacier,
right,
and 10 tons of it melts off into the sea,
right,
another 10 tons is going to rain and snow on top of it. So you still got 100 tons of ice there.
But the ice cap's getting smaller.
Are they?
So they say. Well, they have actually.
They say about rising ocean levels as well.
That's a mind boggle.
The only thing I can think of where water gets made is underground springs.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's more like we don't know where that water comes from.
There's an interesting one.
The water cycle, I never thought that would
be
a conspiracy.
This is why I love questioning everything, because I saw that video and I just laughed at her because she was a fucking idiot. And I'm like, actually, she could be onto something here.
So, like, yeah.
I guess you can. And I was saying this to Rob before, you could make a conspiracy out of practically anything. So, and I think there's something interesting and sort of admirable about being able to question things instead of just letting that, because I'd see that video online and I would scroll past it and I'd just think divvy. I wouldn't even comment.
Yeah.
But you commented and then actually thought, hang on.
So I'm going to make a conspiracy for you right now. Right. The ocean levels are rising.
Right.
And we're not doing enough to stop it.
Okay.
So big plastic started using plastic water bottles to take water out of the water cycle and keep the ocean levels down. Bang, I've just made you a new conspiracy theory.
Wow.
Well, I'm not convinced with that one, but
wow, I'm starting to be. Not gonna lie, I'm starting to be convinced.
I think if you do question anything enough, you'll find holes in it.
Yeah, and do you know what? A lot of people would rate, you know what I mean, like whatever to conspiracy theorists, but it's thanks to like people who think like Rob that things get figured out.
100%.
So if nobody thought the way Rob thought, like, and has that sort of mind, like, okay, let's say he gets 99 of them wrong. You might bet he gets one of them right.
Yeah, no.
And that's how technology moves on as well.
Yeah.
And you were saying earlier about history, people are now accepting the fact that we may have got things wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, it's...
I think people are now accepting that Romans and Vikings got to America before Columbus did. Yeah.
It is the questioners of the world that, you know, are helping us learn more about ourselves, so...
Yeah, thank God for
I just think it's
thank God for you, Rob.
I think it's an important skill to ask questions and be open to any answer that comes back at you as well. Well, like when you asked me about, do I think the world's round or flat? I don't know.
No.
And that's an acceptable answer. I don't know is a good answer to give sometimes.
I mean, the truth is, none of us know. No. Because none of us have seen it.
And I'm going to be on this planet for 80 years, and if I'm lucky, I'm going to see 3 continents of it, and then I'm going to die, and it ultimately doesn't really matter what shape the planet is to me.
There's another thing. Doesn't matter. No. You know, doesn't matter.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
I'd love to know what the truth is, but it ultimately just doesn't... It doesn't matter to my life what shape it is. It's going to change my life in no way whatsoever.
Yeah. I guess a lot of the conspiracy theories that we hear, or certainly the ones that we like shoo off and say, no, that's stupid. Like, we aren't coming from a place of that we know for a fact because we know this and we've seen it or heard it with our own ears or eyes, whatever. We are only going off stuff we're told.
Yeah.
Or stuff we've read or stuff we've heard. Very few people have seen, for example, the complete ins and outs of the moon landing who can definitely say, I know for a fact.
Exactly, yeah.
Same with the water, same with the Titanic, same with the whatever, you know? It's true.
Yeah, we haven't really answered any questions, have we?
No.
I've seen video evidence, right, that there's a planet with blue people on it, and they get this thing out of their hair and they plug it into the back of a flying creature and they fly around the planet.
Oh, you have seen?
I've seen video evidence of this.
You have, like?
I think the planet was called Pandora.
Yep.
How do you prove anything?
100%.
Good point, like.
What a great film. What a great film.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Really?
I saw it at the cinema and the 3D blew me away. It was incredible technology. But the actual story's a bit crap. I feel that they created an amazing universe and haven't told any good stories in that universe yet.
I think the first one was electric. I thought just being put in that world was class, and I think they did enough with that where the storyline, it might not have been phenomenal, but with the world that they gave you and how the avatars work and all these ventures that you have to do, that for me blew me away. Going into Avatar 2, they had an opportunity to then create a strong storyline.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. They just went with the same narrative, war.
Yeah.
And then actually, I think the first one, amazing. Second one, they tried to open you up to a new world of the ocean. Didn't quite work for me.
And I think the first one especially was such a thinly veiled retelling of the Native Americans and the Pilgrims. They might as well just set it in America.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that, but
it just felt like a very thinly veiled retelling of the American, Columbus and the Spanish taking over America to me.
Yeah, it was just a takeover, wasn't it? But no, I'm still a big fan of Avatar.
Yeah. So here's another one for you then, right? Conspiracy theory. Why is it when my phone's got 5G, it feels like it performs worse than my 3G phone did 20 years ago?
Apps.
They're really crap now.
Apps, technology, too much going on. Not enough processing speed.
More bandwidth, but they're using up so much bandwidth now, they might as well not bothered. They might as well just stick with 3G for all they're using it for.
Yeah, they might as well, they might as well not bother, but I think, I don't know anything about technology, but as soon as you've just said that, my brain just automatically went, because there's loads of stuff on your phone, which is making it slow.
But like, when we had dial-up internet, it would take, say, 5 seconds to load a website sometimes on AOL, It feels like it sometimes takes longer now. Because they've just filled it with so many graphics and videos and cookies and trackers and all. They might as well just stick with the old internet. For all the differences made in the speed and the performance.
We're not getting the best of the best of the best in our devices. That's safe for, the militaries.
Of course,
there is some real fast processors out there, but we obviously...
In other words, the technology we do have is incredible. Things like Google Maps and stuff is unbelievable technology. Imagine what the military have got.
I know, yeah.
If we've got that.
Apparently they can read registration plates from space.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Apparently that satellite's good enough to read a reg from, well, not the moon, but certainly out there.
Scary stuff, isn't it? It really is scary stuff.
I think we're going to wrap it up because we're about to do our Is it the SSD card that we're doing?
The SSDs, yes.
What's SSD mean?
Solid state drive.
Who?
Solid state drive.
Go on, son. Did you know that?
Thanks, Rob.
Solid state drive, huh? Yeah, but we're about to do the timing, right? Anyway, thank you, Rob.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for being one of those people who think like that.
Thank you.
Because if anything, it makes you think. If anything, it lets you question what you think you know.
I bet you empty that water bottle before you throw it away now.
Not gonna lie, I'm gonna come back to that thought. That's not just getting chewed out. Next time we speak, because there'll be a next time. I hope you'll come again. I'm gonna do a bit of research. Out of everything we've done today, the water one's the one that's got in my head a bit. Because where is that new water coming from? Listen, anybody watching this, hi Chris, if anybody knows where the new water is coming from, or if it is, comment. So Chris, we're looking out for your comment, mate. Tell us about the water. This has been People Like Us. That's been Rob. That's been Southpaw. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time.